Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Cubs trying to get to 6 games above 500. Here's a fly ball deep left center field. Back goes Kelnick and Harris near the wall. That's gone. Home run Suzuki. Cubs lead 7-1.
1-0 pitch. Lifts it into deep right field. Olivares going back. Olivares track. Olivares wall. To the line. Opposite field. 3-run home run. William Contreras. Brewers take a 3-1 third inning lead.
Now Arturi Lehkonen. He gets through S1 Lehkonen escapes. Could get a shot away. Now leaves it for McKinnon. McKinnon holds. He scores! The Mac attack is back! Jack!
Pressure defense against Doncic at the top of the key. Crossover, dribble left. Step back, contested triple. Oh, it's score for Doncic, who stares down Gordon as he jogs back down the floor.
Derek White dribbles into the front court, and the final seconds will tick off the clock. For the 6th time in 8 years, and the 3rd year in a row, the Boston Celtics are going to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Radio here on AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. What's up, DB?
What is going on? I saw a couple of pillar cars again yesterday.
Yeah?
Yeah, along Center Street between 108 and 90th.
I saw one of the signs.
I saw, I conquered.
That's my guy, Julius Caesar.
Oh, that's right.
Vini Vidi Vici.
Perdoname.
That's the Latin.
Yeah.
Vini,
I came,
Vidi,
I saw.
Yeah.
Very good. I'm glad you went to school.
I'm a big Latin nerd.
Were you? Yeah. So
yeah, I think people forget that about me.
That you're a nerd? No, no one does.
No, the Latin part specifically. I am a big nerd in general.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just look at you and I scream. It screams Latin.
I do have a giant Latin word
Invictus
on my arm.
I like. Hey, listen though, that's kind of cool. If I wasn't Micah got his ears pierced the other day, and I took him to a tattoo parlor.
Yeah,
it's the first time I've ever stepped foot in one.
Really?
Ever?
You didn't go with a teammate or anything ever?
Because
I know you don't have any, but I thought maybe
I've never been in a tattoo parlor.
I thought maybe you rolled with at some point,
and it was kind of swank. I was like,
they're not as
I feel like you should give me a club soda and we should chill. Like the furniture was sweet.
They're not as divey. Some of them are divey, but a lot of them aren't as divey as people think.
I would get something like not cool.
Like what?
I don't know.
Like a shark?
No.
Okay, well, you just love sharks.
I do, but that's a good guess. The only time I've ever contemplated it was, and this would have not aged well because I'm still not sure if we know where Diddy is.
Would you have gotten second to none?
No, I wanted the bad boy label.
Oh,
the
yeah.
little dude with his hat turned sideways.
Oh yeah.
And it says bad boy.
Yeah, you might have had to get a cover up for that. Down the road here.
Not of age. Well. It's okay.
Well, now I've got the Maximus tattoo. I've got the SPQR.
It's a great name.
Yeah.
Maximus. If I had a big dog, that was always going to be his name.
I had a Mastiff named Maximus. That's where it came from.
So I kind of show you sometimes those dogs. Oh, yeah. I just sent you one the other day.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So my FYP page has a lot of dogs.
I love Mastiffs. Mastiffs are great dogs.
So there's a lot of big dogs around the world.
Yeah.
I typically find them. But I don't want a big dog. I mean, they're cool. I used to want a big dog.
So you're a little dog guy, though.
I am now.
Yeah.
He got some clothes. Biggie got some clothes yesterday.
Did he?
Yeah,
a little sweater.
This dude's rocking a West Side hoodie.
They make West Side dog hoodies?
Man, it's unbelievable. So, and he's not trying to take it off. He's chill.
Dude, one of my Shadow loves wearing clothes.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Loves it. If he's got a sweater on or we got sweaters, we got tank tops, we got hoodies, we got the whole line of clothes for Shadow.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Are you listening to this dude, Shane?
To be fair, that's my wife thing. I never bought clothes for my dogs until she bought clothes for Shadows even when she didn't have money for anything.
Yeah.
And he loves it. When you take it off of him to wash it or whatever, he throws a fit.
Yeah.
and then
I
you have to go get another
gotta
one.
I gotta see that.
I'll show it to you. It's hilarious.
Dude's just rolling in clothes.
He loves
It does sound soft, Coach.
Listen, you gotta get your dogs well suited and booted. You know me. I like clothes.
Yeah,
Got to keep the dogs looking
clothes.
dapper.
Clothes are good.
I don't
much prefer you in them.
Yeah,
right.
I think most people do.
So, how are things, man? Are you recovered from that electric atmosphere last night?
It was
talk about being left for dead.
I did not think that was. I did not think that was like
the aura,
full
the vibe.
Full disclosure.
A few couple of folks hitting the exits in the second set.
Yeah, full disclosure. So I was at
where are you going?
Supernovas semifinals match last night. I was actually there for both matches, which Atlanta getting beat was a huge.
How about
upset.
that? You get
huge
but
upset.
Grand Rapids did just beat Omaha. What was it? 10 days ago, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, Grand Rapids is good.
Yeah,
right.
The record is a little deceiving. What do you think
really,
Donovan Mitchell's saying to him right there? Yeah, man, my calves. I couldn't play.
He's like, hey, it's either me or Darius. Let's pick one.
It's like, man, I woke up, I had a little swelling in my calves. Jared Allen still had his afro wasn't trimmed up, and Karis LeVert was like, man, nah.
That's a weird story. I don't even
know why they played it. I guess just to get reps in.
I don't even recognize what's going on there. Yeah. So Atlanta got upset, which was a big one in the first one, and then Omaha comes out, which Atlanta is the team Omaha struggled with all year.
All year.
And so
Omaha,
somewhere in Middle America.
Oh, right dab smack downtown, getting it in an electric environment.
It was, and so Omaha comes out, and man, they just get smacked the first couple sets.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was, the first set was pretty competitive. Second set,
not really. I mean, the second half wasn't that competitive.
Yes.
Okay.
There was a middle section there, like they got down like 7-3, and then they played pretty well for the middle section, and then they got away from it at the end. The second set, they just got smacked. Like they just got whacked around a little bit, and I was like,
as my man Jay Foreman would say, molly-whopped.
I thought, yes, it was bad. And
El Champion.
I'm sitting there thinking, oh man, this is bad. And there wasn't even really signs of life after the second set. And I thought we were in for an early night, not in the way that I was hoping, right?
And then all of a sudden Rafiki came in and he's like, Simba.
Light switch.
Circle of life.
Took a minute in the third set. It took a minute for them to get going. But once they did, they got it in the third set. And then as bad as they got beat in the second set, they gave it even worse in the fourth.
I like to see you kind of ramp up your Shane. What is that when music gets ready to just like spill over the top? Is it a crescendo?
Hit that crescendo.
I feel like you're crescendoing.
And then man,
go tell it.
And then the fifth set, that place was about ready to pop.
Yeah.
It was so loud in the end of the fourth and then into the fifth set. It was a great atmosphere. I have to give Omaha people a ton of credit because we're sitting there. It's like 11 o'clock at night on a Wednesday.
And I'm like, is Ravi going to come to work? I don't think so.
Always
Man,
come to work.
It's good to see you.
But it was a great atmosphere. So Omaha is going to play in the championship on Saturday. It was honestly, it was a super fun atmosphere, and I'm glad I got to be there for it. It was incredible.
And I was incredibly happy that I got to see Sasha wipe down food.
She said she did. She validated you, and also validated the fact that you're like, I think 90% of these people are lying.
Yeah, they are lying.
Yeah,
I don't have any. I don't have any reservation about saying that.
I tried to tell her not to do it too.
Straight up Tim Johnsoning. Everybody has wiped down food at one. Now maybe it was for your 4-year-old, but cut it out, man.
Since I don't have kids, do I get an exception to the lying rule? Because I really don't think I have.
Yes, you have.
I really don't think so.
Selfish.
Listen, man. I remember I was at Oklahoma Tyler's.
Okay.
He has a couple cool cooking tools. He had a green egg. One of the first guys I knew to have one.
Oh, like the little, okay, yeah.
And it seemed like I was always over there. And there was people would bring like potluck and stuff, right? And some was a little saucy. I'm telling you, I walked out on the deck, I toweled that thing down, and I'll tell you what it was. It was a bomb that my man Matty Milliken made.
Okay.
and it had like everything in it, and it was wrapped in bacon. It looked like a giant meatloaf, but it had all this sauce on top, right? And I was like, ooh, the guts in here look sensational, and it smelled amazing because he's a pretty good smoker. But I went out there and I tapped that bad boy down, came back inside and ate it like nobody's business. I got no, like, I don't know why people act like that was so weird. And here's the thing, and I'm going to leave this right here.
Okay.
Do people not understand it was huge meatballs in spaghetti? Like, if all else fails, just read. Like, read that. Like, read what we're talking. You can't just, like, jump in the. It was a goddamn spaghetti ball. Or 6 of them. But still,
I can't read.
Man, I don't even know what this means, but it was hilarious. Did I tell you when the dude said, I'm probably the type of guy that gets in the shower before I turn it on?
Yes.
I don't even know what that means, but it was funny.
It was really funny.
What does it mean, though?
That you
like,
just,
who typically gets in the shower before they turn the water on?
I think you just meant that you're just kind of a guy that has strange habits, is what I that's what I took it to
Dude,
mean.
I laughed, and I had to think about it about 5 minutes later. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm laughing
I don't
at.
even recognize what we're doing.
I
here.
really didn't, though. I think that was my man D-Lo. I don't know if he had 2 or 3 E's.
I think it was 3. D-Lo sounds like a 3E.
Is that how I should say it?
I don't even know why, but it's technical,
like,
right?
It's like D-Bo, right? Depending on how long you say it is how you.
Yeah, so it's like, whatever. You guys can miss me with this. I'm just getting ready for the PGA, man.
We got PGA today.
Went out and watched a little baseball. I did not get rained on.
I was actually.
Somebody did almost twist my cat backwards on the interstate. I think people. I found myself extremely upset on how people manage to run into things on the interstate. Like, take some personal pride and don't put other people in harm's way. Just drive better. There's a lot of open space.
There usually is, yeah.
I mean, you have to. I mean, heaven forbid. I'm not even going to jinx myself, but man, just try your best to pay attention.
Just do a little better, guys.
It's DBNDOT.
That's right. You
How
just gotta
about
do a
that?
little better.
Man,
got a little bit better.
Couple of sprinkles and people are like,
lose their mind.
Avalanche!
Although I will say, at one point, that got pretty gnarly.
What was that, man? Your boy was afraid to get out of his car. I sat there for a minute. It was like 450. I'm like, yeah, I'm not budging.
I'm just gonna take a minute here.
Hey, I took about 8 of them.
It was a little rough out there.
8 of them. I just was praying for no hail.
It's freaking bats.
And I'm downtown. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, I don't even. It was. So I was at the.
Did I see we got over? Did we get 1.25 inches
in like 30 minutes?
Yeah,
because it all happened in a hurry.
Yeah, it was getting.
There was, so I don't even know how to describe this, but there's, like drainage systems at the CHI.
Mm-hmm.
And so they've got one of those like giant, like it's essentially what a gutter on your house would be, but it's like the size of a manhole cover coming out of the building. And that thing was shooting out like a fire hose.
That thing wet?
It was really wet. There was a ton of rain.
Was it super wet?
Super duper. And
that thing wet?
I don't even recognize what was happening there. It was rough. It was brutal.
Yeah. Weather.
It was all right though. We got it in. I think that affected the first match crowd a little bit. It was
a little late arriving for you.
Yeah, it was a little late arriving, but and I also think obviously you were going to have a super Omaha heavy crowd, so they kind of.
You said super
Nova heavy crowd.
That's cute.
I've said super like 4 times in the last 3 minutes.
It's just there's adjectives that people use that based on their background that they're more inclined to use. You'd be a lot more inclined to use super than I would.
It's like a yogurt thing or what?
No, it's just.
Oh, you mean the other half? It's
so
like
that joke is taken on legs.
Has it?
I'll hear that a couple times around town.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Not picking up any yogurt, are you? Well, if I was, it would be Greek. Okay. I'm just saying.
He's doing some good things.
You know, like that white people yogurt, huh?
Yeah, I've been. I'm in the cottage cheese now. Does that count?
I don't like cottage cheese.
Don't put that crap on me.
A little seasoning, a little cottage cheese, couple eggs, it's a little salt and pepper. You bake it, and I can get bread.
So you can do cottage cheese with your eggs.
I'm gonna bash a huge sandwich at some point.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's gonna be the salmon Asiago cheese bagel or like a legit Little King Gandolfo's 28-foot long.
You got I mean, yeah, go Gandolfo's.
Man, I'm envisioning it.
You just
the other day it woke me up right out of my sleep.
That's how you know you need a cheat day is.
And it's not even going to be a good one. It's just I want a sandwich.
Like, I just need bread.
I don't even historically eat bread like that. It just, but I do want a sandwich.
It's the sandwich, so it's not like you're not just gonna eat like a loaf of bread or
yeah.
It's the sandwich that you're missing.
So do you know if you came over right now? There's like 5 unopened bags of chips in my house.
Nobody else eating chips in the house either.
I mean, maybe Zoe
okay.
for lunch.
Maybe.
Like they're just chilling. It pains me that they're wasting.
So we went and finally we got the individually packaged ones, so that we're not like wasting chips.
Oh, were you a waster too?
Yeah, kinda. And well,
are you one of those guys that sets the chips down too hard and at the end they're all crumbles? And
I'm
it
not.
drives me
I
crazy.
will say, and I don't mean to throw my wife under the bus here, but I'm going to.
Gosh, I'd love to.
She real bad at closing the chip bags.
Can't stand it.
And so we end up with some stale chips.
Yeah.
And I have a portion control problem, full disclosure. So if I open a bag of chips, like it's real hard for me to stop.
Mm-hmm.
So we do the little bags of chips now. So it's, I can eat the whole thing and just be done.
Oh yeah, I like that.
I'm trying to find solutions to my problems, the other way around.
Yeah,
I am pretty good at finding problems too.
I went to so I told you how I stalked my guy that goes to farmers market for the pork rinds. So I found a little itty bitty place.
You finally track him down?
Yeah, there's a couple.
Yeah.
So I went to this place. He said the name, and I didn't think much of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I Googled it. I was like, oh my gosh, what are the odds? So it's this place called Makers Collective. It's a little local boutique. Okay. And it is right next to 2 places that take extremely good care of me. Choo Choo's, which arguably has some of the best gizzards in the city.
Okay.
And this place called Cakes that's actually doing cupcakes for Caleb's graduation.
Nice.
Yeah. Two big fans. So as I'm like pulling in, I was like, oh my gosh.
So you're just like right in the sweet spot.
I'm like, this is in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I had to call Fred back and talk to him some more because he's going to be my bestie.
He's like, Fred the pork rinds guy?
Yeah, and I think it's Fred's pork rinds.
Okay.
And he's like, and he's older, but tell me this wouldn't just light you up like a Christmas tree. My man was like, Shane, you listening? He's like, hey, you know what makes mine different? Like, I'm the only guy north of the Mason-Dixon line that knows about these pork rinds. And so I'm like on the edge of my seat in the car. I'm like, come on, Bluetooth, give me more. And he's like, here's the secret. I cook them in lard. So that protein, you're getting 17, 18 grams of protein. I said, say no more. That's the only reason I like chicharrones. It's the protein. It's the protein, Frederique. And I was hooked. And I guess what I had last night for dinner?
Pork rind nachos?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Because everybody else wanted to be cute and go get some street tacos next door because Micah wanted to pick for his extra birthday.
Everybody.
Extra birthday.
Well, yeah. He's with his mom on Monday and we had him on the weekend.
Oh, gotcha.
So I took him to Koji on Sunday.
That place is legit.
Dude, it is
so good.
It is flipping incredible.
There's this, I can't even remember the name of it. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Bonsai?
Break. No, it's like
Is it in a bao bun?
No, those are good too, though.
Is it yakitori? Is it on a stick?
The yakitori is incredible. Also,
it's fantastic.
There's a.
Is it the bolognese?
It's a bolognese. Yeah,
that's
how in that.
I'm about to send you this picture of Zoe just knocking. You know who got her hooked on that?
Coach Rule.
Coach Rule.
Yeah,
Coach Rule. So after like that week, I'm telling you, this little girl was running around talking about she wants bologna and dumplings.
What's happening?
I told him on Saturday, I said, man, I can't afford this girl. Take her back.
TK just in the chat, I love lard. So good for you, TK.
Dude, I have tallow. I have my own bacon fat.
Tallow's the good stuff.
I have ghee.
Yeah.
Not Gordon.
Guy Lafleur?
Well done.
That's all I got.
That's it. Shane's like,
Then you're cooking
in his
gas.
dumb Gene Wilder reference yesterday. Carnegie? No, Shane. Stay in your room.
Andrew?
Like the Hall?
No,
Like Michael Anthony Hall?
he's just brimming because the Avs got one last night.
Carnegie Mellon University?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not even remotely that smart.
I think my uncle taught there for a while.
Shocker. He's a smart guy.
He's the one that works at NASA.
Oh, yeah.
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 He's
Not raising a lot of dummies over there, are you?
not an idiot.
Shane, were you tickled over your Avs last night?
I was tickled.
About as giddy as Ravi and his supernovas? How about Coach Kuhn losing her mind?
Oh, man. I don't
I
blame
thought
her.
that bun was going to come out. I was like, hey, Simba Donna.
Donna Summer now. Donna Summer.
So you got to keep that thing tight. Shane, what was your level of elation? Was it like a 10?
If I was a Husker fan, I'd just be coming hoping that the ball's not on the ground.
Well, that puck was fine in the back of the net. That's for sure.
You know the funniest thing? So yesterday, after you left, Shane is out there and he's like, I think I asked him, he's like, how you feel about the Avs? And he's like, oh, they're going to lose.
Obviously, I want to win.
He's like, oh, they're going to lose. They're going to lose big. He's like, or they're going to win big. I don't know. And I'm like,
typical Shane.
Incredible analysis, Shane.
Yeah,
well, let me explain my analysis.
The king
and
hedger.
Then he goes, you can bet on it. And I was like, which one? You gave me both results.
Here was my thought process behind that.
Oh, this ought to be interesting.
Okay, so
I can't wait.
Hit me with your best shot.
Monday's game was
it.
probably the worst game that I've ever heard for an Avalanche game, and I've heard like 1,000.
The 5-1er?
The Monday game where they lost after they lost their player or whatever. I mean, it was bad. It was to the point to where I didn't even want to listen to halfway through because it was just a downer of the game. You could tell that the players weren't even playing. I mean, there was no will to just do anything. So the thought process was, what's going through their mind, or is this something that they're going to rally behind? Like typically you would rally behind, like if your coach was fired or something like that, or if you lost your star player due to an injury, you might rally behind that. And you typically have a game that you come back, and that game you typically win. But I didn't see that in this game.
Typically.
I didn't see that in this game though, but they did it though.
Shane, typically when you make a prediction, you don't make both predictions. That's all I meant.
Hey, they could win,
or they
Forgive
could
me.
or they could lose.
They could lose.
I don't know.
But it wasn't even like, oh, they could go either way. He was adamant that they were going to lose, and he's like, but on the other hand,
Yeah, right.
I was like, what are we even doing?
Do your
here?
Avs come back and win the series?
They're not going to come back and win the series,
But they might.
They might. You never know. I do know one thing.
What's that?
And I picked them to win the Lord Stanley's Cup. I much would have rather have seen Florida get rid of Boston the other day.
Yeah.
I mean, I
don't want to give them lifelines.
Man,
We don't like it. Surprise. We're going to get the lineup in the first segment again.
You got to kill the head of the snake. Rob.
Coming up at 8:45, Brian Edwards, our Vegas insider. Coming up at 9, Michael Bruntz, Husker 24/7. And then PGA Championship week, we've got John Rathouz, former caddy on the tour and also host of the Quiet Please podcast.
And don't forget, coming up on Friday, the Avs may or may not win.
Cool, thank you. That's the lineup for today. We'll be back with more Hurrdat Sports Radio here on AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Devon Taves will curl back in his own zone, and he'll just set up shop behind his own net. Get out the lawn chair and the drinks, and prepare Ball Arena, because the Avalanche and Stars are coming back to the Mile High City for Game 6. The Avalanche aren't dead yet.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. He's getting extra salty with me this morning.
Yeah, kind of.
I
think that should be about right.
It throws me off every time you do that.
It's not good.
Yeah, no, I know. I've had salt water before. It's terrible.
It's pretty subpar.
Have we talked about this?
What? Your mom?
Yeah,
a kid
with like the sore throat.
Yeah. That's a thing.
Yeah, I have like PTSD from it though, because it was terrible.
That's not even old wives' tale. Like, I think that actually worked for a little bit.
It would make sense. Like, salt kind of cleanses things out. If you got a sore throat, there's probably some like abrasions in there. Probably helps out a little bit. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, as many people know, despite where I'm from and what I look like. Not a doctor. Much to the chagrin of many people on that side of my family.
Shock, chagrin, and dismay. Oh, man, you just do radio.
Yeah.
There's no failure in sports.
Exactly.
It's like, I'm sorry, what's your advanced degree in?
Yes, there is, Giannis. You guys being at home already. That was an epic failure.
It's a wrong question.
You asked me the same question last year,
Eric.
You asked me the same question last year, Eric.
So speaking of failure in sports, I'm glad you brought this up.
Shame on you, Eric.
I'm glad you brought this up. So our guy, I'm going to call him our guy, Coach Rule. He's your guy, at least. I'm just going to tag along and pretend
do your
like
thing.
we're friends.
He's
been doing his little media rounds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he started with us, which was the best one, obviously. But he was on Greg McElroy's show either yesterday or 2 days ago. I don't remember when. But he harped on a topic, and I harped on a topic that he said in passing. That's more accurate because he doesn't really harp on things very often. He kind of just says them and moves on. But then I dwell on them for days at a time because that's what I do.
To this day.
He's not fighting this weekend, but the guy that he had
we'll talk to Kevin Iole tomorrow.
Resurrect on himself is fighting this weekend. So he said this phrase to Greg McElroy, who I gotta say does not look like he played Division I quarterback. Like if you just showed him to me on the screen, I'd be like, that's one of those guys that never played.
It's Jason Garrett 2.0.
Yes. Anyway,
Opie Taylor.
He does got a little. It looks like he could be Ron Howard.
Come on, Ma.
You look like you could be Ron Howard out there. Is that the guy who played Opie? Ron Howard? Okay. That's a little
not current Ron Howard. Oof.
A little before my time.
Shane's still with us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did not age well.
His daughter directs now too, Bryce Dallas. She acts some too, but she's a director.
Bryce Dallas? Is that a real name?
Yeah, Bryce Dallas Howard.
Bryce Dallas.
Yeah.
She's the girl in the Jurassic World movies.
Yes, she is. The redhead girl in the Jurassic World movies. But she directs a lot of stuff.
She's cool.
Yeah, she's actually a really good director. She does some cool stuff. I only know because she did some Star Wars stuff because I'm a nerd. But
yeah, that's the quantifier.
Well,
she does cool stuff. She did Star Wars.
It's cool to me. I like it.
Okay.
Anyway,
anybody that does Star Wars is cool.
Yeah.
If you're not doing Star Wars, you need to step your game up.
Yep. Anyway, so Coach Rule's talking about this.
That was weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Wow, I don't even recognize what we're doing.
Oh man, he's so cool.
So
why is he cool? I don't know, man. Did you see how he solved that Rubik's Cube? Yeah, okay.
Listen, different people think different stuff is cool.
All right.
Just like people are nerds about different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, a lot of people are like, you think nerd, you think like academic or whatever. It's like, make no mistake. Like, we are sports nerds.
Yeah,
you can't do this job and not be a sports nerd, at least not do it very well. It's like everybody's a nerd about something.
Yeah.
It just, we happen to be nerds about sports.
Jessica and I on Sportsnet Nightly last night were talking about like track and field. It's like, is this cool?
I mean, we did like
I like track and field.
Impromptu 12 minutes on tennis yesterday. So
you hit me with a deep cut like Isner, underachieving.
I don't know that he was underachieving for his skill set.
I do think he was kind of better than you gave him. I mean, yeah, he was a boomer, but he was. I'm not even going to get into this. Yeah, I'm not even gonna get into this because you're gonna
We'll take it off air. It's fine.
You'd be 12 minutes later to be like,
it will. I want to
serve and volley,
and
you didn't even get to your guy.
Coach Rule yet.
Yeah.
So McElroy kind of asks him how you balance the trying to clean up the turnovers from last year, because obviously that's a huge issue on the offense, and still trying to strike those big plays, right? How do you balance theoretically taking more risks by trying to get the big plays and yet minimizing the negative, the downside of that, right? And the answer that Coach Rule gave, he said different versions of this, and it's been kicking around my head for months now, if I'm being honest. But he said, if you trust your training, you do what we train you to do, we will live with the results, right? It's not about the turnovers themselves. It's about the fact that the turnovers came because guys didn't fall back on their training. It's because the turnovers came because they didn't do what they were taught to do, right? And this is where I'm going to get, speaking of being nerdy, this is where I'm going to get nerdy on you, right? So I take this all the way back and I connect it to the if we die, we die thing, right? It's a hard line. It's a great line. But what does it actually mean, right? Hey, if we go out there and do things the way we know we're supposed to be able to do things, and we go out there and we do things to the best of our ability and we trust our training and the results still aren't what we want, we can live with that. Mm-hmm. If we die, we die. And what it reminded me of was there's this old Hindu story about a warrior who's on a battlefield. You can laugh. It's fine. It's fine. And he's fighting like members of his other family. It's like a civil war situation. And he's like very concerned about going and like potentially killing people he knows and cares about and loves, right? And so one of the Hindu gods is talking to him. He goes, hey, like, do your duty and let the results be what they are. And he says this line, which is an even harder line than if we die, we die. It's, I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. And what he's saying is, it sounds like he's saying this like really doom and gloom line, but what he's telling the warrior is like, hey, you do your duty. You're not the one that brings death. I am, right? You do the process, and then fate will be decided on its own. You do what you can control and live with the results.
It's music to my ears. Because it's all we ever talk about. I'm like that in life. I'm like that coaching. I'm certainly like that competing. That's why I tell our guys, man, listen, train in such a way where time doesn't matter. Like the results will be what they will. Mm-hmm. Let's just lay it on the line. But you have to put yourself in a certain position to be able to sleep easy at night, sans the results. And that's knowing that your training got you to where you needed to be.
Everything you could.
That's it. And we have this thing now in our house where I don't even say, sometimes I'll say best wishes, but my go-to, because it encompasses everything I believe in, is I just say, leave it out there. That's it. Short, sweet, to the point. Leave it out there. You know, sometimes I'm a touch guy, so sometimes like let's say Christian will come over and he may have turf in his helmet or something, so I'll rub his eyes, use my thumbs, I'll look at him right in his eyes, and I'll say, hey, you got any more in the tank? Any more in the tank? Yes, coach. Hey, empty it. Right, like just real. Because all that I really care about is if you leave it out there and there's nothing more, then I'm cool. Yeah. I just can't.
The results will be what they are.
And there's certain things that just get under my skin, right? And like when you sell yourself short, don't give yourself the opportunity because you can't get out of your way. That's one. Like, come on now. And the other thing is when you half-ass it, like you're not even guaranteed anything other than being in that moment. You might as well maximize.
The only thing you guarantee yourself when you do that is, and this is from somebody who used to do this, so I can say this like with full confidence, you're guaranteeing yourself that you have an excuse if it didn't go your way.
Yeah, right.
That's what and that's the goal there.
Right.
When people don't leave it out there, they want to say like, oh, if I had gone a little harder, they give themselves an out.
Sometimes why people don't dive for balls or because hey, next time.
You want to give yourself an out if it doesn't go your way.
I'm going to play a clip for you coming out from McElroy too that will land the plane for you right there.
Coming up next, more Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Like you turn it over, you're coming out. You turn it over, you're not repping with the ones. I mean, but then again, you're kind of cutting the guys off at the knees because then they are going to be resistant to take chances. They're going to be hesitant to push the ball into a tight window. You might take away their playmaking ability if they're so consumed with not making a mistake. So how do you make sure that limiting turnovers is a huge priority while also encouraging your young guys, and in some cases your freshman quarterbacks, to still make the plays that led them to become a 5-star prospect coming out of high school?
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's when you look, Brian Billick years ago came up with the stat. He called it toxic differential. Other people sometimes call it double positive. But basically, hey, we want to win the explosive play battle, but also the turnover battle. Like, if you win one without the other, you can be really conservative, and you won't beat yourself, but you won't be explosive. And you can be really explosive, but also beat yourself. And so, finding that balance, and I think it's really the key to coaching today, is getting players to not worry about the result, but just stay in the moment. Like, hey, how does this play work? You're throwing 4 verticals, man. Like, it's a 1 high post safety. We're gonna take 3 in a hitch, man, and we're ripping the seam opposite the lead of the safety. And if your guys are doing what they're trained to do, then we'll live with the results. If all of a sudden now, instead of taking 3 in a hitch, and they take 3 and 2 hitches, or they pump fake and try to run it and they throw, that's where we're trying to coach that away. We're trying to say, hey, do exactly what you're trained to do, and trust yourself. And you get out on a scramble, try to make a big play, throw the ball down the field, throw the ball out, along the sideline, man. But don't throw the ball back across your body. That's not what we're trained to do. And so, I had the unfortunate pleasure of coaching against Tom Brady when I was in Carolina. And it's like, man, you'd sit there in the meeting, you'd be like, hey, okay, we're gonna play cover 2. He's gonna check the ball down. We know that. He's gonna play cover 2 here. He's gonna check the ball down. It's like he just absolutely frustrated you with his precision and his execution. And so I don't want our players playing in fear. I want them to play with unbelievable confidence, but the confidence has to come from their execution, their precision, knowing that they're going to do in the moment exactly what they're trained to do, and do it with no fear.
We will be back. We will be back.
If you turn it over, you're coming out.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back. It is Hurrdat Sports Radio. We're live. You are looking live at the Hurrdat studio, the great Pillar Exteriors studio. Ravi was getting all philosophical when he wasn't doing his Hindu folklore. He was referencing an interview parts of an interview that he, by Coach Rule, just finds more ways to creatively say the points that he drives home all the time. It's in the consistency of the message, right? He was with Greg McElroy. Shane, the question was, and you kind of alluded to it, but we're going to give it some context because we'll play it in its entirety. How the fine line between navigating wanting chunk plays and to not turn the ball over. This is what it sounded like real time.
Like, you turn it over, you're coming out. You turn it over, you're not repping with the ones. I mean, but then again, you're kind of cutting the guys off at the knees, because then they are going to be resistant to take chances. They're going to be hesitant to push the ball into a tight window. You might take away their playmaking ability if they're so consumed with not making a mistake. So how do you make sure that limiting turnovers is a huge priority while also encouraging your young guys, and in some cases your freshman quarterbacks, to still make the plays that led them to become a 5-star prospect coming out of high school.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's when you look, Brian Billick years ago came up with the stat. He called it toxic differential. Other people sometimes call it double positive. But basically, hey, we want to win the explosive play battle, but also the turnover battle. Like, if you win one without the other, you can be really conservative, and you won't beat yourself, but you won't be explosive. And you can be really explosive, but also beat yourself. And so, finding that balance, and I think it's really the key to coaching today, is getting players to not worry about the result, but just stay in the moment. Like, hey, how does this play work? You're throwing 4 verticals, man. Like, it's a 1 high post safety. We're gonna take 3 in the hitch, man, and we're ripping the seam off opposite the lead of the safety. And if your guys are doing what they're trained to do, then we'll live with the results. If all of a sudden now, instead of taking 3 in a hitch, and they take 3 and 2 hitches, or they pump fake and try to run it and they throw, that's where we're trying to coach that away. We're trying to say, hey, do exactly what you're trained to do, and trust yourself. And you get out on a scramble, try to make a big play, throw the ball down the field, throw the ball out, along the sideline, man. But don't throw the ball back across your body. That's not what we're trained to do. And so I had the unfortunate pleasure of coaching against Tom Brady when I was in Carolina. And it's like, man, you'd sit there and to me, you'd be like, hey, okay, we're going to play cover 2. He's going to check the ball down. We know that. He's going to play cover 2 here. He's going to check the ball down. It's like he just absolutely frustrated you with his precision and his execution. And so I don't want our players playing in fear. I want them to play with unbelievable confidence, but the confidence has to come from their execution, their precision, knowing that they're going to do in the moment exactly what they're trained to do and do it with no fear.
It's 100% how I think. I think it's how you have to coach it, right? Because you can become bogged down with the what ifs and the contingencies. Now they could do this and they could do that, and that there's a really, really fine line, right? If we're playing, Millard South or Bellevue West or even Millard North, I'll go back to the days, Millard North. We had some good success against them for a while where they weren't scoring any rushing touchdowns. I think we played them 3 times in a row, and they didn't score 1 rushing touchdown. And we said, this is what we're willing to live with. It's going to be X, Y, and Z. These are the non-negotiables. Let's just do this. This is how we're going to train. If they do something else, you tip your cap and you move on, right? If we're playing Bellevue West, hey, listen, if he wants to make some more middle of the field throws, tip your cap. We don't think he wants to live between the hashes vertically, so we're going to defend it this way, right? If we don't think a guy can scramble. So I say all that to say, you're negating the impact of a negative play by already empowering your players to say, hey, sometimes they're just going to make a play. If it's something that we didn't prepare against or that's kind of out of the norm, hey, that's sports, right? They got a dry erase board too.
Or somebody just makes an incredible
somebody could just
effort,
make a play,
right? Like,
I hear I told you, I said this in passing, but just to let you know that everybody says it. Hey, Coach Coop, we're sitting in meetings. I'm in the back listening. He's talking to his DBs. He's like, hey, the name of the game today is compete. I want to compete with every ball in the air. If somebody makes a play and it's a 50-50 ball and we're in good shape and good position and we played our technique, hand the ball to the official, line up and snap it again. Let's go play ball. You guys with me? And I was just thinking to myself, that's freeing because some people, if depending on your mindset, you could hear, hey, man, if we give up a play, we give up a play.
Yeah, that's not it.
It's not what he said.
So if you do everything right,
if
the results aren't what you want, we can live with that.
That's the thing.
Which I mean,
and sometimes coaches will be a little over the top sometimes and say, well, we don't want to give up any. You can't play it that way because what you instill in your players is like
as soon as they give up something,
then they did something wrong.
Yeah. As soon as you give up anything, you fail.
That's
right. And that's a terrible mindset to be in.
Nobody wants to play like that.
Right. That's the perfectionist mindset.
Right,
that's why
we give up a backside skinny and a 3-by-1 and they run after the catch. Like that's on us.
Yeah. Right.
Like
But if somebody goes out, everybody's in position, just goes out, high points the ball, makes a great play. You're like, hey, we were where we were supposed to be. That dude made a great play. It was a great throw by the quarterback. Yep. We're good.
Yeah.
You can live with that.
I remember we got creased. We were playing Lincoln Southwest, and man, their tailback made a good play. And, he cut it back, and, our safety's supposed to get down in the box. He's a backside B-gap guy. And he was held a little bit on the hash because 2 pushed so hard vertically. Like, he basically was running him off. So I know why he was late getting down into the box. It's just a tough read.
Yeah.
Right? And that dude could run.
Yeah.
And so you're like, I remember Cam Cozio made about 15,000 plays against us a couple years ago for Millard South. I mean, you could say, we missed some tackles, but guess what? That guy's good too.
Yeah.
You were in good position. The defense was sound. He made a play. Right? Like
that's life.
Yeah. There's a reason. My buddy Brian used to always say, there's a reason there's positive yards in football.
Yeah.
Right? Like
nobody's holding you. You're not holding anybody 0 yards.
It's just freeing. Now, did I lose my mind when Flores, the first touchdown that they threw? Yeah. But the deep ball that he threw late when we put pressure on him and he couldn't step into it and he out threw our coverage. Okay, that's just a great player making a play, man. Don't get down on your daubers, man. Then it wasn't a long game. Then it was like nut cutting time. But I'm like, hey, keep playing. Like, he's really, really good. He's gonna make those plays.
And there was one guy in the entire state that could make that throw.
Yep.
And he did.
We didn't even bat an eye at it.
Yeah. Because
we're just like, wow.
Sometimes great players are gonna make great plays.
And I'm just like, the more your players believe that, like the better it is. It's like, what do we talk about with Coach Mack? Hey, if you're St. John's and you're gonna make a living,
I was just gonna bring up Coach Creighton's defense.
You're gonna make a living hitting those tough pull-ups, those mid-range shots.
Jumpers.
Okay.
And people ask me all the time. And listen, I get frustrated too. I'm like, hey, let's just show him a different look, whatever. But I get the principle of it where it goes, people ask me all the time, like, okay, well, what happens? I'm like, hey, they're not going to give up anything at the rim. They're not going to give up threes. And they're like, well, what happens if they shoot 50% from mid-range? I was like, then Creighton loses.
Yeah.
And you have to be okay with that.
And
if that's your philosophy, you have to be okay with it.
It does 2 things. It keeps you consistent in what it is that you do. And you don't look over your shoulder. Nebraska forever has looked over their shoulder. That's why they can't get it. It's the main reason. How are you supposed to get out of your own way when you're never looking forward?
Yeah, they're just always waiting.
Just go try to gain ground.
Yes.
Hey, Ravi, go out there and touch the blade on that motorboat over there at Cabela's, but keep looking at me. Keep looking back at me the whole time. Oh, man, you're going to look like
hard to drive when you're looking in the rearview mirror.
And that's been Nebraska, right? What's the psychological edge that Iowa has? We make fun of it, but you know what they do? They wait for you to make mistakes. They're going to do what they do, and they're going to do it for a long time. And eventually, more times than not, you can't keep up with what they're doing because you're gonna make a mistake.
And most people,
they don't like. It's uncomfortable for people to do that.
Most people just don't have the stomach for
it. They don't.
On both sides of it, right? He's talking about Tom Brady, and now, hey, if you're running cover 2, he will just precision you to death.
Yeah. How does all of a sudden now Julian Edelman is killing me, or James White?
Right. You just James White has 15 receptions in a Super Bowl.
Because you know what defenses will say? Hey, we can't take it all away. We'll give up the little intermediate stick. We'll give up that stick, right? We'll rally and come tackle.
Because
and they'll do it 12 times on the drive.
Because most teams, most quarterbacks, most coaches do not have the stomach to just take what the defense gives them the entire game. And on the other side of things, if you do, most defenses don't have the stomach to keep allowing it to happen. So they get out of what they do. And then all of a sudden, boom, you get creased or boom, you get beat over the top.
Lord knows, I've been victim to that.
It's hard to watch. It's hard to just sit there and watch Tom Brady or Zane Flores or whoever make 12 straight completions.
I remember the feeling when WS made an adjustment at the half in the state championship. Jalen Bradley went bananas in the second half. They figured it out, and it was a little too late for us. to change it on the fly, and we had to live with the results, and it was ugly. I think he just scored again.
It's hard to stomach. It really can be.
Believe me, it was.
Coming up next, we got more Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back.
Typically would going into a major, but I mean, obviously it was for good reason.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
I don't want our players playing in fear. I want them to play with unbelievable confidence, but the confidence has to come from their execution, their precision, knowing that they're going to do in the moment exactly what they're trained to do.
Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. And reminding you, I think we already brought up the NDOT this morning, but
loosely.
Yeah, in passing, but a more direct reminder, make sure you make that seatbelt click. It saves lives and prevents injuries, but only when worn properly. Make it click. A message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. I wanted to get into, we had obviously the big.
You want me to give a quick update?
Yeah, let's do it.
PGA, quick update. Luke Donald, 1 under through 5. Tied for the lead with old Dougie Kim. That's G-H-I.
Not G?
Matt Wallace, 1 under through 4. Some notables. Rory, 1 under through 1. Tweet. Out of the gates. Xander Schauffele, 1 under through 3. Victor Hovland, who also birdied the first hole. Number 1 must be playing fairly easy, at least out of the gates. Not ideal weather, though. It is 59 degrees at old Louisville, Kentucky. 55% chance of precip. You're getting some gust anywhere from 12 to 24.
Where's my guy Eldrick at this morning?
Eldrick is +1 through 3.
Okay, that's not terrible.
No.
I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a long day, I think. Dustin Johnson, even through 2. Keegan Bradley. Adam Scott just hanging. Ooh, Tiger Woods with the tweet. Back to even.
We love it. We love to see it. We were talking about.
It's like the pump in bird noise at the Masters. Didn't I sound like a bird, Shane?
Tweet. He's just like a bird. It was incredible. I thought there was a bird in the studio.
It's weird, isn't it? I could do that pretty well. Tweet.
Oh,
is there a bird in here?
What's going on?
Yeah, I detected notice.
Got some flying around in here. Like one of those geese that ran into the building the other day.
Don't.
Back in the day.
It's really more of a honk than a tweet from a goose.
I thought he broke his neck.
He was stumbling, bumbling.
I tried to break his neck. We played against the guy that said that.
I don't know what that's from.
Yeah, this dude was a natural born killer. That's what he was.
We were talking yesterday a little bit off air.
Severe City hopes Tigers plus $1 million by the end of the day.
Why does he hate Tigers so much?
He just does. I used to try to fight him over it, but like most things, I relented. He's
a hater.
He's particular. He's particular about what he likes and what he doesn't like.
He is very particular, and
he loves him some Star Wars. He said, "What's your friend's name? That's the director,
Bryce Dallas Howard." Not my friend. I don't know her personally.
Hello, friend. She did some stuff with The Mandalorian, which I actually watched with Micah.
The Mandalorian was very good. I was a big fan.
Shane, did you ground? Is my little friend that likes to be on my side when I say something funny? Is she on punishment? There she is. Where has she been?
I don't know. Probably in school, I would hope.
I worked hard at school.
You just set up your own drops now, Shane? You're just like saying.
I worked hard at school.
Yeah.
I don't think you did work that hard at school, Shane.
Wow. Wow. Shane, I think that's a shot at your aptitude.
I am old.
Not your aptitude, just a GPA.
It's kind of a misnomer.
It really is.
Yeah. It's kind of
too exhausted from being
it's like this
yesterday.
It's like the standardized test. Like it's not a good it's not a good measurement of anything. It's just how good you are taking the standardized test.
Fall back on your training, Ravi.
Right? I did not train for the standardized test. I did okay.
I think it's harder to set up your own drops than it is to play off of yours.
No, it's actually easier because you're literally talking about the thing that you want to set a drop for. So,
but it has to fit, right? I think you're talking timing.
Yeah, timing.
Surprise, surprise.
Don't defend him.
I'm sorry.
Surprise, surprise.
Like I'm caught in the middle of something.
Some people got a little surprised yesterday when we got a couple Netflix NFL. You seem mad about this.
I'm okay. Mad is a little harsh. I just think
disappointed.
Yeah.
Well, I guess why? I mean, like you've got Netflix. What's the matter to you?
Because not everybody that. Yes and no. I just think, like on a holiday, man, if I'm sitting around, I don't want to have to get on Netflix. I want to be able to watch television. And is it magnified because it's the chefs? Yeah, sure. But you're going to put the Chiefs and the Steelers on Netflix on Christmas.
Yeah. Because they paid a premium for it.
Yeah, it's just something just doesn't seem right. Now I'm definitely watching.
Well, so that's the thing. It doesn't matter if it sits right. It doesn't matter in the NFL size, right? I'm not. It's whatever to me because it really doesn't bother me at all because I've already I'll just find wherever the game is. But as long as it doesn't prohibit people from watching or doesn't prohibit a certain percentage of people from watching, so where it becomes an actual problem, why they're going to take the highest bidder. And Netflix obviously wants to break into sports and live events. We've seen them do it. There was
the roast.
Yeah, there was the roast. There was a tennis match with Nadal and somebody. There was the Tyson Paul fights coming up on Netflix. Like, this is obviously a space that they're investing in and trying to get involved in. And if you're the NFL, it's like, yeah, we'll take your money. Because the NFL knows, whether it's Amazon Prime, whether it's Netflix, whether it's Peacock, whatever it is, that the NFL forces people to make purchases.
Yeah, I wasn't enamored with their schedule. They cross over with the NFC East, the Steelers, so that's fine. They'll open with Atlanta, which will be tricky. But I mean, the Chiefs on Christmas, that's fine. That's going to be huge. I'm just glad it's at our place.
Yeah.
I mean, because December 25th in Pittsburgh, I'm hoping for
bad weather.
Yeah. So it seems like my team plays a lot of my friends' team. I remember when the Steelers played the Saints on the holiday. And I was just like, oh, me and Severe, we're going to break bread together, but not be in the same room. And now the 200 million Chiefs fans that I know will be sending a little Christmas hate their way.
Yeah, there's a lot of Chiefs fans out here, and
Yeah.
they've got.
You can disrespect the Chiefs.
They've gotten a lot louder over the last few years.
It would just be nice. And I listen, it's at home, so I'm happy about that. But Chiefs kind of got a bad deal with the back end of their schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not at home a ton.
No, it's a little bit rough going.
Surprised.
Surprised?
Yeah, I mean, they usually get they
get some breaks usually.
Yeah.
I was looking at the 49ers schedule. I didn't memorize or anything because we got some time still. But there's a stretch, I think it's after week 9, where they've got a little bit of a tough go. That they're going to be on some short rest when other teams are on, either coming off of a Thursday, so they've got the extra.
So coming off your bye?
Yeah, so it's after that.
Yeah, so you got Tampa, Seattle, Green Bay, Buffalo, Chicago.
The Tampa game they're going to be in a good spot for, but it's those next 3, I think, where
you got Seattle at the house, then you're at Green Bay and at Buffalo.
Yeah, that's a tough go.
In December.
Yeah.
That's all right.
At Green Bay, at Buffalo in December.
Purdy's used to cutting that wind in Ames.
That's right, baby.
So he won't be 17-4 then, but
no, it'll probably be like 22. What was it? 24-4, 24-5.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know.
Are you guys going to be like that?
I really don't know.
NFL is going to be wide open.
I'm a little concerned.
Why?
I'm a nervous person in general. I don't have a good reason for it.
Shoot, I'm optimistic.
About the Steelers?
Yeah.
You have less reason for optimism than I do.
True, but I also think that's fine.
I mean,
I mean, deep down, I'm hoping T. Higgins implodes. I think the Bengals, they got to replace some things, man.
I'm also worried about Joe Burrow staying healthy like that. I'm getting concerned there.
And I get it, right? The Ravens, I don't know if you heard this, but they got Derrick Henry, and they're going to be able to run the ball late.
Did they get Derrick Henry from 3 years ago, or they got today's Derrick Henry?
I don't know. Instead of rushing for 178 yards a game, maybe they'll go for 188.
Whoa!
But I feel
is Lamar going to be able to throw when he has to?
And for once, I hope you're right,
Mm-hmm.
and that Deshaun Watson and whoever plays quarterback in Cleveland is bad.
I mean, his track record of late would indicate.
Yep, that's enough. That's enough. I want to end on a happy note talking to you about that.
You see he got a tattoo?
Oh gosh, what is it?
Well, it's a huge back piece, but one of it's an empty, there's no year or anything on it, a Super Bowl ring tattoo on his back. It's huge.
Oh, well,
or just
got to draw it into existence.
Some people, I don't think that's what people mean when they say manifesting. I don't know.
You're such a hater.
Should I get like my desired salary tattooed on my arm or something?
Yeah, then go get it. It's a
Maybe.
constant reminder how you got to go get it.
Got to go get that bag. Let's get to Kim. She agrees with Damon, so I really don't want to take this call, but I guess we will anyway.
Wow. She dropped off, so you're not going to.
Oh, thank God.
What did she agree with me about, Shane?
She didn't really agree with you. She was just saying you needed to have the other side where a female disagrees with you. Considering the drop playing was the girl agreeing with you.
Oh, Lord.
So why?
So see, that's what you get for not taking the call. Why did he type that up the way that he did? It's okay.
It says Kim agreeing with Damon on the screen.
Shane, I want you to thicken your skin up a little bit. He may go off here in a
I'm
sec.
just like, it says Kim agreeing with Damon on. Well, what am I supposed to think that means?
I don't know that she probably agrees with me.
That's what.
Let's just find out if she agrees with you.
That's where I'm led to believe.
Let's find out right
you
now.
Mad?
I'm just.
Let's see if Kim agrees with what I put up there on the
at
screen.
your mercy at what you put on the screen.
I'm just happy he spelled it correctly.
You just need to read it right.
Although it's hard to screw up.
Kim agreeing with Damon. How am I supposed to screw that up?
I don't know. Let's ask Kim.
Kim, you on the phone here?
Well, why would anybody ever think I would agree with Damon?
I know. I was
because that's literally what Shane.
Believe me, it caught me off guard too.
Well, here's the thing though, because I must have missed something the other day. You take the sauce off the pasta. You take the sauce off the meatball.
Yeah.
What in the world?
So even your dish, Kim, in studio, like I wiped the meatballs down because I didn't know if I was.
How old are you?
Oh my! So
what are you?
Apparently that's an age thing. I don't get why that's an age thing. I was getting crushed. Like, why is that an age
you
thing?
You should be crushed.
Okay.
That was homemade sauce, dude.
Listen,
what's wrong with you?
I get it. Okay, that was a gift, right? You were being kind. You brought something to the studio.
Yeah.
I wanted to try it. I like meat. I'm not a huge pasta person, so I wanted to try it. At this particular place, we were having lunch in Lincoln. There were all these nice trays of pasta, different versions, right? There was like lobster ravioli, there was meatballs, there was shrimpling, and I wanted all the meat. So I waited until everybody had gone through. I let it sit like 2 hours,
which I appreciate the consideration.
I did. I let it sit 2 hours. So then I went through and I picked out all the meat of every tray, and the meatballs looked so good. All I did was take a napkin and wipe the sauce off, and everybody makes it seem like it was the worst thing in the world that I did and that I'm 12. Like, I don't understand. Like, what did I do wrong? What if I don't like sauce?
I knew you. By the way, I knew you didn't like pasta that much. So that's why I made meatballs. And I knew you didn't really like red sauce, but.
And I ate about like, I can eat a lot of meatballs. Like, I had 5 the other day. They were huge.
Hey, that's a great drop, by the way, Shane. Can you keep that drop?
But so Kim, you think that's weird?
I mean, we all have our things, right?
Okay. Let me ask you this, and be honest. Be 100% honest.
You just have to
be 100% honest. Have you ever you're social? You got all these hobnobs. You socialize. You hobnob with all these socialites and stuff. So I could see you like at the Lexus Club, and you're doing your thing, and they like have brisket out, and it's a little oversauced. So you like just you wipe a little sauce off a slice of brisket, or you scrape some barbecue sauce off of chicken, or you get too much mustard on your hamburger. So you've never done that?
Yes, not with my napkin though.
Oh, so now
I will say the napkin is what's really.
What else was I supposed to use? I wanted it all off. It was a huge meatball.
A butter knife. You kind of just,
So do you know what okay. Full disclosure, I thought about it, but I would have had to have turned it with my hand and scrape along at the same time.
Here, I got a life hack for you. All right,
it was a big meatball.
Skewer it with like a fork, and then do a little rotisserie deal. Turn it that way. You're not like holding your meatball on your hand.
Dude, I had china silverware. You people are killing me. I thought I was resourceful. Apparently, I'm an 8-year-old.
You know why it's an age thing, Damon? Though.
Why?
Because when you're younger, people tend to be pickier.
Well,
I forgot where.
I brought my palate is enlarged since I was 8 or 9.
You couldn't even figure out the word to use there.
Because I wanted to say expansive, but people get on me, so I was trying to dumb it down, and I didn't know how to dumb it down. So I don't.
I appreciated that
word.
you.
You're all right there.
Some of my
I appreciate that you tried the meatballs.
They look so good. They were like the size. I said golf ball. It was more like a tennis ball.
I would say golf ball's not a huge meatball.
They were good, though.
Tennis ball's a big meatball.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
You know what makes them really good? And this is my giveaway here.
What's that?
I don't use breadcrumbs, so they're not perfectly round.
Me neither.
But I sacrifice the breadcrumbs to put in ricotta cheese.
Oh, bless your heart.
The cheese.
So there's something about it not perfectly. I'm like that with breakfast sausage. I feel like
Seems
it should be a
more
little misshapen.
authentic. Seems like it's more like a homemade deal and not like a mass-produced deal.
Yeah.
All right, Kim.
I quit trying to make the perfectly round meatball because I'm too much time. If you want a perfectly round meatball, go for filler by all means. Fill that baby up with filler.
Thanks, Kim.
Appreciate it, Kim.
Have a great week, gentlemen.
And thank you for not agreeing with Damon, despite what.
Yeah,
what
apparently
Shane
nobody does.
What Shane was trying to lead me to believe over here.
Michael said nobody could ever confuse you for a 12-year-old. You're a solid 13-year-old teenager.
Okay.
It's a lot of hate.
He was texting me about Tiger, and he's like, he's a creep or whatever. All right, man, whatever.
So let's get over that.
I'm just,
that poll, I can't get over that.
What?
A lot of fibbing going on in that poll.
So,
dude, it was 90-some%.
It was. You got worked in that poll. You did.
Not a chance. Those people are telling us.
So I'll be full disclosure.
I know your wife has.
It's no, that wasn't who.
I bet she's wiped something down.
I don't know.
Guaranteed.
She doesn't.
Shane just did it the other day.
What's Shane?
Not that I want to be in that company, but
I'll say that's the advocate you're looking for over there.
So
my guy that can't even label the phone.
I
line
guarantee you
correctly?
that dude right there that's getting ready to do some work here.
Yeah.
He got a fillet of fish at McDonald's, and the tartar sauce was too sloppy, and the cheese was on crooked. That dude took the bun off and wiped down the tartar sauce, and either redistributed it or didn't eat it, and ate or threw the tartar sauce away and ate the fillet of fish.
So my big hang up, if I'm being honest, is the napkin. I'm worried about the napkin residue.
I used what I had.
I get that. I do.
And I wanted to pull it back as soon as I said it out loud.
Yeah.
I knew you would. I knew you wouldn't understand what happened.
Yeah, probably not.
I wanted to be quick. I didn't want to be like that dude.
Yeah. It's okay.
I needed context, and you had it's cool, man.
I don't really believe in context or accuracy. I believe in jokes. And it was
apparently
it was a good joke.
Hey, so you know what's funny about that schedule?
What's that?
What if something happens to Cousins, like heaven forbid, in training camp or preseason,
Or if he's just not healthy yet,
and Penix starts against the Steelers and Atlanta wins? Do you know the irony in that? Penix beating my Steelers in the opener.
It would, because you love Penix, like I do.
Yes, I do.
You've got a couple quarterbacks I imagine you don't love that much.
Love's a little strong.
I said don't love.
Yeah.
That's I didn't say hate. I said you don't love.
Yeah. I will tolerate.
You're hoping.
I am a tolerant person, right?
You're hoping that that your culture and your Mike Tomlin can squeeze the cringiness out of Russ Wilson.
Wait, are you kind of being dismissive of like, what do you mean? I love my Mike Tomlin. Like,
no, I'm saying that you're hoping the culture can make Russell Wilson less of a tough hang. Am I wrong? Like that's the hope here, right?
Yes, continually.
Yeah, always.
You got to be continually
to this day.
Do you have your dark horse yet, or are you want to wait?
I haven't got there yet.
You know who has kind of a sneaky tough schedule?
I'm too busy looking at the rest differential and the 49ers being like one of the worst.
So
in
I
20
usually do that with Nebraska. I don't do that so much in football, in NFL, because Nebraska has They have 4 games where they get their opponent coming off a bye.
Yeah, which is tough.
But 2 of them, Nebraska's coming off a bye as well.
Yeah, so it's but you got 2 there that you don't love.
Yeah.
Right, which is not ideal. But yeah, it's Husker X and O sent us this chart where 49ers have the worst rest difference of any opponent since.
What's their away schedule late? It's not good.
Well, we just went through the at Green Bay, at Buffalo.
No, that
stretch.
was for you.
Oh, who are you talking about?
Chiefs.
Oh,
He's a Chiefs guy.
Gotcha. I'll look it up. I thought you were talking about the 49ers still.
No, he's a Chiefs guy.
Yeah, I didn't see that one yet.
Because I looked and I was like, well, I mean, the weather's going to be a push either way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, late December.
Yeah, I mean, neither one.
Yeah,
of those
there's
are
no real advantage
ideal there.
But I just wondered where that was being played, and I looked at Kansas City, and they're not at home very much.
Yeah, so late they've got. This is a terrible setup for a schedule. They go at Bills mid-November, then at Panthers. They've got Raiders and Chargers at home. Then they go at Browns, at Steelers, at Broncos are the last couple. So it's not terrible.
There was just that away stretch. I was like, it doesn't seem like they're at home very much.
Yeah, they've only got a couple in a row away. It's not awful.
So we're the second of 3 on the road.
No, you're the second of 3 out of 4.
Okay.
So it's Browns on the road, Texans at home, Steelers on the road, Broncos on the road.
Okay.
So they go 3 out of their last 4 on the road.
Like I said, I typically only get into that with I just try to get ahead of the narrative because, sometimes our fan base will be like, oh, man, they're getting such and such off a bye. We always get such and such off a bye. So I'm just like, all right, let me see when these
you got to dig into it.
Sounds like Kansas City's pre set up for that schedule then.
Zip it, Raider fan.
Having the tougher games at home, at the end of the season there. I'm just saying, NFL setting the Kansas City Chiefs up, man. Thank you. Appreciate that.
You going to have – who's going to throw the ball to Brock Bowers?
Yeah, really.
Anybody? Noonan?
Hey, so Shane, you're starting 0-2. You're at the Chargers. You're at Baltimore.
Nothing new.
You get Carolina at home. Cleveland will be a toss-up, even though it's at home. Then you go to Denver, and you get us at home. Us, like I play for the Steelers.
Like me and DB, you get us at home?
Yeah.
Exactly. Come do the show from your house?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Give them nothing.
That was offered to us once. Somebody's kitchen.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Why would you do that?
Why did Sarah offer, Shane? You don't remember? She's like, oh, yeah, you guys can do it from our kitchen. I was like,
that'd be weird.
Is Dookie Clint's wife?
Yeah, that'd be weird. I don't think I want to do that.
Just kind of set up?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Have Clint cooking some breakfast for you?
You think Clint can cook? I bet he's got some bad barbecue he took the sauce off of.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure I'm gonna hang out with anybody named Dookie Clint.
He's a Blue Devil.
I know, but it makes me always think of poop, like taking a dookie. That's where my head goes. We'll be back with more Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We're halfway through the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. And, you know, we were talking about Supernovas earlier. You're going to have one last chance to see them on Saturday.
I said maybe.
No, that's Champaign Supernova. This is Omaha Supernova.
After they win, we'll be busting out champagne. Shane,
You
get your guy.
You're right. You're right. When you're right, you're right. You're not right about wiping down the meat, but you are right about the Champaign Supernovas.
Oh, my Lord.
After they win the ship on Saturday. Make sure you get out. Go to provolleyball.com or supernovas.com to get tickets to see Omaha play for the first ever Pro Volleyball Federation Championship. That's Saturday at 3:30. Make sure you go out and get your tickets. Provolleyball.com, supernovas.com. I will be there. You should be too. What's up?
I'm in disbelief. I'm not going to regurgitate it. I do think you guys are being disingenuous.
I'm really not. Like, I promise you.
It's a lie, man. It is.
When have I never admitted to something that was embarrassing?
Because you're not thinking.
I am thinking.
And I took some shots. Listen, I had to have a guy question my toughness, my quote unquote masculinity, and he's buzzed after two 9% alcohol by volume IPAs, and you're questioning my fortitude? Like you're
I didn't question your
6'6",
fortitude.
you're
Oh, no, he
6'6", 270.
Yeah.
And you're slurring over 2 IPAs. Like really?
Yeah. So
I can't.
the direction the whole thing got weird to me. I thought it was funny.
I think you're an idiot.
That's it. I wasn't questioning people's fortitude. I did think it was a little bit funny when people were like that serial killer behavior. I thought that was a little funny. But like to me, it was a joke, and then people got weird with it. And I don't even know what to do there. Some of your teammates got involved, and I was like,
they're idiots too.
I was like, I don't even recognize what we're doing here.
Just taking shots. It's fine.
I legitimately, and I admit embarrassing stuff on air all the time. I am not like I have no shame. I don't care. So if I had done this, I would tell you, even after this point.
I think you're just forgetting.
I mean, maybe, but I legitimately can't. Maybe. I can't think of a scenario in which I'd be like, I need to wipe this off.
You ever put too much mustard on a hot dog?
I don't even put anything on a hot dog.
Of course. Like, oh, you're impossible.
Now, like, there's a chance I just wouldn't eat it.
So guess what? You're at a game. You put too much ketchup on a hot dog. What are you going to do? You're going to take the napkin. And you're going to be like, whoosh.
No, I don't put anything on hot dogs.
Okay.
I never put anything on hot dogs.
Well, 75% of the 90% that were lying on that poll did.
That's fair. I can't speak for those people because they got weird on me, and I don't know what happened there.
Of course not. Did you
got weird?
So you realize, since you like to keep scoreboard, you realize Kool-Aid Steve gave you a full game and a half on Nebraska, Colorado.
Yeah.
Or not Nebraska, Colorado. Nebraska's win total.
Yeah.
A full game and a half.
Yeah.
If he's right, I'm just going to tell you.
I'll send him whatever he wants.
We'll never hear the end of it.
Yeah, I probably won't take his calls anymore.
A full.
I will pay up. I'm not going to welch on a bet. I will pay up, but I may never take his calls again.
But you're winning.
I mean, so which was more on the surface? And I'm totally not setting this up because if he's right, I may leave the state. I have to really think about that.
Yeah, I may just.
Well, you know what I would do? Because I told Brett that I told my buddy this yesterday. I would go to Central. I would move to Central City.
Yeah,
I would just live with them.
Okay. Big Central City guy.
Yes.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Are you guys going?
Because
kind of random,
I can't.
You do you.
It's be a nice place.
I mean, listen, I love.
They got a great Dairy Queen.
I love our
good beef.
I love our friends in Central Nebraska.
But listen,
he
gave you a full game. I guess us, because somehow I got roped into this too. Because I know emphatically, I said, "I'll take that. I'll take that bet."
100%.
When he said 6,
100%, I'll take it.
7.5 seems kind of chunky, though.
You
At
think it's
least
high?
to me.
I
get you had to give it the hook, and 6.5 would have
Feels
been
low.
too low.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing with Vegas is that Nebraska win total is always going to get bumped by 1 because Nebraska fans.
That's not true though, because they've never. Vegas is right every year.
Yeah,
every year.
But Nebraska fans typically hammer the over, and so you usually.
What did I just say?
And that's why Vegas is always right. But they also can give it an extra game high to give themselves more room on the lower end to go the under because they know Nebraska fans will still bet the over.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
You're dang right.
That's what I mean. They say they get an extra
That's
game.
my guy, Oklahoma. At least he still texts. Where's Don Juan and Art?
Yeah, I thought you were supposed to track those down, Shano.
Shane's on Don Juan. I got Art.
All right.
Speed the 2 under.
I just wanted to say I've been saying that for 5 years.
I know, Don.
Oh,
and boxing.
I don't know.
He likes boxing too.
Do your thing, man.
Shock the world.
baby.
Maybe we can talk to him on Monday after we see what happens with Furry and Usyk.
If you say furry one more time, we can't be friends.
Oh my goodness.
Exactly.
He's got the hairy back. He's a furry fury.
Did you see his dad headbutt your boy the other day?
Man, that whole family's
out there.
Whole family's
but
built a little different.
So
well,
do you know who? Because you saw all the win totals. Do you know who's gonna be way better than we think?
Who?
Rutgers.
What was that number?
I think 7.5. I got to go back and
You
look
think
at
that's low?
Is that not higher than you? Rutgers, Nebraska, and USC, I think, have the same win total.
The USC one, I think you're right. I thought it.
I told you the.
Wait, so okay, hold on. So are you saying you think the win total is accurate, or you think it's low, and we just aren't giving them enough credit?
I think we aren't giving.
Okay, I misunderstood.
Rutgers enough credit.
I misunderstood what you were saying.
I think they're going to be pretty good.
I mean, Shiano's a good coach. I'm not going to doubt his ability to put together a good football team. Greg Schiano.
Oh, I thought you said something. It sounded like you said Shiano. I was like, who?
Greg Schiano.
Shiano?
I don't know. Is this like a repercussions thing? I don't know.
What's that?
Is Greg Schiano? How do you say his name?
That's right.
That's what
right.
I was saying.
That's right. Do you know who says that's right?
That's right.
EJ Barthel.
Does he?
Oh, it's hard for me to not pick up on it.
You just kind of.
It's an affirmation of having conversation. That's right. It's hard for me to not do.
Yeah, you're gonna turn into like a mix between EJ and Denzel.
He's great. I wanted to accidentally bump into him on the road in St. Louis, because he's got to go recruit Jabarion Parker, who really likes him. And I was like, man, my sister's in St. Louis. My old co-host is in St. Louis. I said, my nephew is at Cardinal Ritter. He's like, man, let's make it happen, Captain. I was like, I may never come back.
What old co-host in St. Louis?
Andrew.
Oh, that's right.
Wow. Wow.
I just talked to him the other day. I totally.
Is this what we're on? Hey, so if you're not watching in the street, your eyebrow was so high.
I was so confused.
You're like,
I was like, I thought, are you feeling good? You feeling okay? What are your vibes?
He said, who's in St. Louis?
I'm an idiot. I literally just talked to him.
Hey, am I crazy or did he not say Shano? Like SHAWNO. Did you say Shano?
No, I said Schiano.
Okay.
Greg Schiano.
Anyway.
Who's in St. Louis, by the way?
Oh my gosh.
I don't even know.
It's severe move. That's honestly where my head was at. I was like, what? I don't.
It's funny. You just skip right over Gary. You just go to severe like that.
Well, I know where he is.
Sindelar moved already?
He's never done a show with Sindelar.
This dude is foolish.
I don't even recognize what we're doing.
Are you feeling good? You feeling okay? What are your vibes?
Stop it.
No, okay, out of your co-host though, the one that would just pick up and move and not tell anybody is severe.
100%.
That's
but he would be in Alaska.
Yeah, he would be somewhere where there was no people around.
Someplace remote.
Like Montana, where he just didn't have to talk to anybody ever again.
I don't know if he thinks he could function in Montana.
But he thinks he can function in Alaska?
A little different temperament.
Is he more like an Idaho guy? Maybe hang out in Boise?
Where was the Unabomber? That's one place he's not. That's one place he's not going.
Well, don't worry. I think he's dead, but he was definitely arrested, so you don't have to worry about him anymore.
Oh, he's outro?
Yeah, he's gonzo.
Yeah, I didn't know.
You didn't know that he got arrested?
No, I knew he got arrested.
I
didn't know he was
dead.
I didn't know he was dead.
Maybe I might be wrong.
Yeah, so Rutgers. I'm one low. Rutgers is 6.5. That's what I knew got my attention.
So that seems low.
Low.
7.5 seemed right to me. Yeah. That's where I got confused.
6.5 is low for Rutgers. You may want to take a look at that one.
We'll take a look. Maybe go visit our friends over at Warhorse. Or we're going to talk to our Vegas insider, Brian Edwards, next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio. Now, Vegas insider, senior handicapper, and fan of the cold Budweiser bottles, Brian Edwards.
It's got to be touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
Brian Edwards.
I don't really love it.
Brian Edwards.
Were they using the cream cheese to butter the bagel?
Brian Edwards.
I'm going with the cowgirl.
Here is Brian Edwards.
We're back here wrapping up hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. We are joined now by the one and only Brian Edwards, our Vegas insider.
Touchdown.
It's a good addition, Shane. B, what's going on?
What's happening, fellas? Did you guys see Derek Lewis last weekend?
Yeah, I stick around. I'm here for the Derek Lewis interviews. That's
Me
it.
too.
Whatever he does now and says post game or post fight, he's the best.
Straight money.
Quote machine. We were arguing about some win totals. We weren't arguing, but we were debating about a few win totals. Do you have any? I know we talked about a few last week. Do you have any in the Big Ten that I could throw at you just so we could debate, or are you not ready yet? Because I don't want to throw you a curveball.
Right. I'm not quite there. I'm hoping these Go ahead.
There's one that is really, really interesting to me, and I'm thinking, how did they
throw it out?
there?
Throw it out at me. Let me pull it up.
Rutgers at 6.5.
Okay. First off, I've heard. Yeah, I saw my buddy commenting on their schedule, and I'm pulling it up now. But if
What are the
if Kaliak Manis from Minnesota has already been named their starting quarterback, I don't care how easy the schedule is. It's got to be under, but I'm pulling it up now. 1 second. Kaliak Manis. Oh my gosh, really? I mean, did y'all watch the Nebraska? Did y'all watch the Nebraska Minnesota game last year?
Yeah, I watched them beat Nebraska. I mean,
oh my God, come on now! You watched them beat them because of a fumble Nebraska had.
Well, because like 8 fumbles Nebraska had.
Right. Well, yeah.
That is funny.
Oh man.
Vegas B. Edwards out on Kaliak Manis.
Okay, but wait, Howard and Akron to start. That's a pretty good start right there. At Vatek L, Washington at home L, at Nebraska L, Wisconsin at home L.
No way.
So 2 and 4. Maybe they can beat UCLA. At USC.
UCLA's win total is at 5.5.
Okay, so I'm just saying 2 and 5 with a swing game on UCLA. We'll come back to that. Minnesota at home, the Kaliak Manis Bowl. Oh boy, that's a swing game.
Minnesota's win total is like 4.5 or 5.5.
I'm all in on the under, or not. I mean, is it like juiced on the under? I like under 6.5. I like under 6.5.
So why?
I know is Kaliak Manis,
why did your buddy bring them up? Like, was he eyeballing them?
Well, he was just talking about how easy the schedule was. I would have to go back and pull it up.
I'll be hit me up later. Hit me up later on that because I'm curious to see what you guys came up with.
Well, I didn't really come up with anything other than if Kaliak Manis is their starter. I was just making a comment about Kaliak Manis, really.
Wow.
Big Kaliak Manis guy, Brian Edwards, joining us here. All right, so we got some other early lines here in the NFL that you are kind of looking at a little bit. The Chiefs obviously are one of those. But before you get to kind of the individual, I guess, in what circumstances would you actually put a play on a line in a game this early? Is that something you would actually do, or is it just, hey, I'll start keeping an eye on it now?
I would put a little bit on it. But you make a good point. I mean, we're going to have some ACL injuries, some sprained ankles. We're going to have all kind of things between now and kickoff. Like, the Kelsey injury in the week 1 with the Lions and the Chiefs last year. You probably felt like you had a good ticket with Kansas City, and then Kelsey goes out and they lose outright. But yeah, so I'm leaning the Chiefs minus 2.5 or 3 at home to Baltimore. I mean, the most important thing they did during the offseason was they retained Chris Jones, but they've added Hollywood Brown, the receiver, from Arizona. They get Xavier Worthy with the 4.21 40. So they seem to be improved at wide receiver. And then, they're at home, and hopefully Kelsey will be healthy, unlike the Detroit game last year. So I lean Chiefs, and then I lean Eagles. I love what the Eagles did in the offseason. They get the 2 best corners in the draft, Mitchell out of Toledo, DeJean out of Iowa, who can also help on special teams. They brought back TJ Gardner-Johnson after 1 year with the Lions. They get veteran Devin White, who's been a awesome linebacker for the Bucs forever. They got him on the cheap. Hopefully he's got another year or 2 left in that gas tank. And you add Saquon. So I think it's a redemption year for Philly, and they're playing in Brazil to Green Bay on a Friday night, -1 or 1.5. So Eagles and KC are my week 1 leans.
I just can't see KC giving like anything less than a key number. Just seems like
at home
a sucker bet, right? Like, it's the Chiefs.
Right. I mean, it's just like the Super Bowl last year. I know they didn't win till the last play, but come on. I mean, you're the underdog, and you
look like a genius now, but I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, the 49ers, you have to.
It didn't look good. It didn't look good for a while.
You don't have to keep bringing up old stuff with me, B. I don't really need, I've spent like the last 4 or 5 months like trying to, get over that trauma of Patrick Mahomes having the ball last. I'm not really I don't need that hate in the middle of May right now, B.
That's all right.
My bad,
B,
bro. I forgot. I didn't know you were a Niners fan, or I forgot.
He just can't take it because twice already this morning he's brought up the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh. So he better be able to take as good as he dishes.
Do you love the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh? That's all I asked.
No, that's
okay.
not.
That's all I asked.
Leading question. That's not what he said, B. This dude.
Yeah, I don't know about their quarterback situation either. And I did notice the Falcons -3, but y'all know I don't trust my Falcons. To the
Yeah,
Steelers.
that's a big one. That is. I'm excited because I think the Falcons could be pretty good. Were you surprised to see the Timberwolves favored tonight?
Yes, because if Conley's out, this thing's done. I mean, it's over if Conley's out. I mean, you saw how they brought 40+ double teams, and Ant could only get 15 shot attempts. I mean, if Conley plays, I still like Denver, but Minnesota's obviously got a chance. If Conley's out, this thing's done. I think. I mean, I think it might get ugly tonight. I mean, Denver's just rolling right now. We all messed up really bad by not taking them at 17-1 odds when they were down 0-2, and we had 3 days to think about it. And I'm cussing myself. Actually, that's what I'm doing. I'm cussing myself.
You got to give yourself a little credit because that was about one of the worst performances we've ever seen from a good player with Jamal Murray in Game 2. Like there was no.
Now he's laid some turds before. It's
I know, but he looked like he didn't belong in the NBA in that game. Like Nickeil Alexander-Walker made it look like he was guarding his little brother. It was like it was brutal. So I don't think you can really hate on yourself for not taking 17-1 after you're like, is Jamal Murray playing in China next year?
Right. And he had a mental meltdown that I don't think we've ever seen.
Yeah.
He had this total breakdown where he's like this ninth grader trying to play varsity, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not built for this."
Yeah. So we don't know yet, but I don't think Conley's playing, and so I'm heavy on Denver tonight, and I think you bet them first half game, whatever. I mean, once we get confirmation on Conley.
Those soleus injuries, soleus, I don't know how you say it. Those typically are much more. I think the questionable status on him is disingenuous. If I'm being honest here, based on the kind of nature of that injury. But is there a number at which you would just stay away? I assume you're not betting Minnesota at any point, but is there a number on Denver you're just like, no, thank you, or is it just like, hey, give me any number, we will take that?
Oh, if I know Conley's out, I'd lay probably 3. But I mean, hopefully, let's bet it now and don't worry about having to lay 3.
Fair enough. Hey, you've got that other Western Conference Finals game, but you like a total in OKC versus Dallas, right?
Yeah. I'm just gonna go under here. We got another under last night. They've all gone under except for sorry, I'm pulling it up here. Except for game 2, and So last night we had 196. We had 196 in game 4. We had 206 in game 3. In game 1, we had 212 in that game, and it's down to 210.5 or 210. But I'm going to go under 210 there. And don't ask me on the side. I have no clue. This OKC Dallas game is like, one game you're like, oh, Doncic does not look healthy, and then you're like, wow.
They just dropped the casual 30-point triple-double.
Yep. So I have no clue on the side. I'll go under on that one. And then, Knicks Pacers tomorrow night, it's kind of tough to figure. Might just look to live bet it or something. Pregame, as of right now, I'm stumped.
Hey, B, do you have any thoughts on boxing this weekend with Usyk and Fury?
I do not. I'm sure Fury's heavily favored, right?
No, slight. It's minus 125.
Ooh.
I know, right? It's weird. Like,
does he look in shape? I haven't.
Yeah, he looked good. Take a look at that one for me, B. The number doesn't seem right.
Okay. All right, I'll get back to you.
Ever look in shape?
Okay, buddy. No, he doesn't actually.
That's our guy, Brian Edwards, Vegas Insider, MajorWager.com. Thank you, B.
Thanks,
Caliac Madness. Thanks, fellas. See ya.
Coming up next, Michael Bruntz, Oscar 24/7.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. Got to remind you to go to Warhorse Sportsbook, either at the casino in Lincoln or at Horseman's Park in Omaha. You got PGA Championship you can bet on. You got playoffs. We're starting to get some future lines out for NFL and NCAA football. If you're getting an itch, you want to put some money down on some football already, give yourself a chance to win. totally understand, and so does Warhorse Sportsbook. It's the best place in Nebraska to place your sports bets. Go to warhorsecasino.com/sportsbook to get a full list of details and house rules. That's Warhorse Sportsbook. No bets, no glory. I'm betting on our next guest, Michael Bruntz, Husker 24/7, joining us
saying
now.
something profound. That's your bet.
He pretty much always does. Bruntsy, what's going on, bud?
Not much. That's a very professional segue there, Ravi. Nicely done.
You know, I'm trying to get better at it. I'm trying to do this whole radio thing. DB throws me off a lot, but we're doing our best.
Of course, it's me. it's all me, Bruntsy. Like, I mean, I hear
You're holding it back.
I am. I am. I'm struggling at this thing. Not very good at it. It's. I got to stop tripping him up, Bruntsy. How we doing, man? We're in a much better frame of mind than we were probably 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, probably.
Well, I mean, I think if you drew it up, right, and you said, hey, last week of the season,
if you drew Christo it up,
if you drew Christo it up, and last week of the season you got a chance to win the Big Ten regular season championship, we'd have taken that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny too. Like you look at, I always joke about this. You look at the preseason Big Ten coaches poll and like projected order of finish, and you have one team in Nebraska that was projected to finish 5th, and Illinois, who wasn't even in the top 6, at the top of the standings. So it should be a fun weekend. A lot of scoreboard watching. And yeah, I mean, you would have taken this. And if, a month ago you said you're going to be in a position to win the conference, potentially outright, and oh, by the way, you're going to have 2 guys back in the pitching picture that you weren't even counting on at the start of April, that's not bad. I mean, it's been a little bit of a bumpy ride at times, but rarely is college baseball a smooth ride. So, you go up to Michigan State and take care of business and hope that maybe karmically Purdue gives you something back for the stuff they pulled with the tarp a few years ago.
The infamous tarp game. Well played there, Bruntsy. I had forgotten all about. Your level of intellectual petty is fantastic. It's like I think it's unparalleled.
I don't even, and it's not even that it was like happened in Nebraska. Like it's those kinds of shenanigans are just like, really, like, come on, like we can see what's going on here. Like you had a window, you didn't play it, so Nebraska got what they deserved that year. But we'll see if Purdue's been a really tough out this year. So I would not pencil in 2 easy wins for Illinois in that one.
Bruntsy, as you kind of look at, you mentioned some of the up and down nature of the season for Nebraska, especially through a lot of April, and then just even recently they dropped 3 in a row before getting those last 2 against Indiana. What is there something specific that you've seen? You're like, hey, I kind of feel better about. Is it just getting some better pitching performances out of guys, whether it's Jackson Brockett or having Christo get some good innings in relief? It is just as simple as like, hey, some of the arms that need to be better have started being a little better?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that has been missing for most of the year is that the Sunday starter or the midweek guy, it's basically the same person in a lot of ways. Like the guy that starts on Sunday is probably interchangeable with a guy that's probably a midweek guy who is somewhat interchangeable with a reliever that can give you multiple innings of relief. And Nebraska, for the most part this year, has not had the Rockets going 5 innings against Indiana was the second time all season they'd had a guy go 5 innings on Sunday. And the starting issues in midweeks are pretty well documented. And, Jalen Worthley would give you 2 innings of relief. But beyond that, there weren't a ton of guys in that bullpen that you would go to and say, okay, give me 2.5 or, 2 2.3, which I think is what Caleb Clark gave him on Saturday against Indiana, or the 4 innings that Drew Christo gave him on Sunday. They just haven't had that. And then when you don't have that, you're passing the bucket, and it's always a bit precarious when you're passing the bucket, especially on a weekend. So, yeah, I mean, Clark reemerging has been really important. Brockett's reemergence, I mean, that's been a bit of a godsend, because when you start looking towards what does the Big Ten tournament look like, or, what does anything look like beyond that? I mean, you have right now 3 starting options that you feel pretty good about. McConaughey's been great the last couple times out.
Yeah.
And, that picture looks a heck of a lot different when you have 3 guys you can rely on starting on a regional weekend versus 2, and just kind of hoping that, you can piece it together in a third game.
When you actually look at the matchup with Michigan State, how important is or isn't it for Nebraska the way that Michigan State is built on the back end to get off on the right foot? Because it hasn't seemed to really matter, because they've squandered some things late, but there's some vulnerability there for Michigan State too. What are some keys for you if you're playing matchups?
Yeah, well, you got to figure out a way to get some big hits. I think Friday, backing up Sears, or on Thursday, sorry, I'm all screwed up on my days. Starting Thursday, you back up Sears with a couple early runs. You start feeling pretty good about things. That a quick start would be important, I think, just given kind of the gravity of what's out there for the weekend. Michigan State's a really kind of hard team to wrap your arms around, because, I mean, they lose 21-3 on Saturday last week against Minnesota. They get up 12-2 in the 6th inning and end up losing 15-12 on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And they have in other games given up a lot of runs as a staff. I think it's close to 8. Their ERA as a group is close to 8. So there's the potential for some offense for Nebraska there. But if you can you get a few more hits, score a few more runs, I think the pitching will be okay. But Michigan State's got plenty to play for too. They're in a 3-way tie for 7th. They're kind of playing for an opportunity to get to Omaha and get into the tournament. So, you would think that there'd be something for them to show up for. So I just think for Nebraska, you gotta get the offense going a little bit early in the series, and just hope that your 3 guys, your 3 starters can give you some depth in those games.
Bruntz, what's the value? Is there a tangible value of finishing first ahead of Illinois versus finishing second going into the Big Ten tournament in your mind, or is it more just about making sure they're playing well heading into the postseason?
I don't know. It would be. I think it would be a confidence builder for this team. I mean, I don't know that at any point this year you would say that they've kind of played their A baseball game. I mean, I would think the closest you could maybe say actually was this past weekend against Indiana. I mean, that had the feeling of a postseason weekend, like with the crowds. It's a good team. They've got some guys that can really hit, and some decent arms. I mean, I felt like every guy that was coming out of that bullpen that weekend was like 6'4", some kid from like rural Indiana just pumping 97, and Nebraska handled it pretty well. So, I think the standings piece of it's big. I mean, they want to win a championship. I don't know if a regular season championship kind of helps the resume a ton when it comes to selection time, but I mean, for as kind of up and down as the last month has been, that'd be a kind of a fun finish for this team to do enough to get up and lift a trophy. So that matters. And then just playing good baseball going into the postseason. I mean, like I said, I think there's still a lot out there for this team if they can just play some consistent baseball down the stretch here.
Hey, so Bruntz, I asked you this last week, and you kind of walked me through scenarios and how they'd like to maybe use the back end. But is Worthley, is he your closer? Who's closing for Nebraska in your opinion?
I don't know.
Do you feel like we should, or is that part of the allure?
I don't know if it's a lure. Like, is it?
It's like what? I don't like. I don't have a good.
Like if you don't have a starting quarterback, if you have your quarterback by committee or your running back by committee, you don't have a starting running back. Is it that kind of a situation? I don't know. But on Friday last week, their hope was that Worthley would be able to give them a 2-inning save. That was what they wanted, and for whatever reason, Indiana just had him squared up right from the get-go, and then that was kind of on to plan B and C, and you kept going on down the line. So I don't know right now say that they have one guy. I mean, I think they trust Worthley in that situation. I think they trust Dice to a degree. But beyond that, I don't know that there's not like a Trevor Hoffman or a Vera situation where it's like, this is our guy. We just got to get to this guy in the ninth. I think it really is a little bit more situational. And I think that to a degree has kind of caused some of the issues.
Yeah, I agree.
When they've struggled to close games. And it hasn't been that frequent. Like five, I think they've lost leads in five games in the ninth, 4 games in the ninth, something like that. But I mean, when it goes south, it goes south. And I think part of that is just you don't have that defined role, coming out of the back of the bullpen.
We're talking with Michael Bruntz, Husker 24/7. Brunt's going to change gears here on you a little bit as we obviously have Husker baseball coming up starting today as they finish the regular season, and then next week at the Big Ten tournament here in Omaha. But I wanted to kind of talk about the Nebraska football recruiting a little bit here. Obviously, they had a big visitor weekend this past weekend. You see that they're in the final 2 with Alabama for a Dawson Merritt. David Sanders is a super high 5-star. You've got a bunch of guys like Michael Terry seems to be pretty interested in Nebraska, another 5-star super high level athlete. Like, is this kind of are you surprised at all at how many super high level guys Nebraska's in on right now? Because I'm a little, I don't know if taken aback's the right word, but I wasn't necessarily expecting it at this point in the process, if that makes sense.
Well, I think part of it, Bruntz, is the narrative that, they only polish up fast 3-star guys, right? Like that's probably part of it.
Right.
Right. Probably, yeah.
I mean, when you have the head coach saying that that's the type of program they are, I mean, you take them at their word a little bit. I think you can have two things be true, right? I mean, you can lean on your camps in the summer to find a kid that's got an offer from Penn and shows up and runs a 4.4 and long jump or broad jumps almost 11 feet. I think you can do that, and you can also still get in the ring for a David Sanders or a Michael Terry. I think you can do both. Like I don't know that this staff is not chasing stars by any means. Like I don't think that's a concern. I think they find guys that fit what they're looking for, and I mean, Michael Terry fits a lot of what a lot of programs are looking for. So, I think the thing I've been impressed by with this staff is that they've been able to build fast relationships with highly rated guys that have been recruited for a long time. I mean, David Sanders has been recruited for a long time, like before Matt Rule was even at Nebraska. And that's why Nebraska was having to play catch up a little bit, but just getting him on campus and getting him to take a look, I think that's pretty impressive. We always kind of say too, and we have been saying for a number of years, Nebraska, I think, is kind of primed to take off in terms of recruiting, as long as you can, get the on-field piece of it go in the right direction too. So I don't know. It's interesting, like when you kind of look back at past Nebraska staffs too. I mean, they've been able to kind of swing big, I think, at times early in their coaching tenures, and kind of take advantage of that upward momentum. And I think Matt Rule's staff is doing that to a degree too. I mean, they feel it over there, like they're, gonna break through sooner than later. And I think that kind of comes across in the recruiting process too. So I guess my long answer to your question is, or short answer, I guess, is you can kind of do both. I mean, you can find the hidden gems, and they've done that. I mean, they've got a couple of guys committed in the class right now that were kind of unknowns for a lot of people. And, also get in there and battle for the type of recruit that everybody wants and is battling for.
Bruntz, when you're watching guys that they're recruiting or have said yes, and even with Latif, it gave me kind of a visual to how they want to build this thing. Can you see from the outside looking in how they're trying to put these rosters together in terms of being a developmental program? Like, let this guy do this for X amount of time. In the meantime, this guy can do this for this amount. Like, is it starting to take visual shape for you too as you look at the roster positions?
Yeah, I mean, I think the types of positions that they've gone heavy on too early on. I mean, I think you could see the priorities there too. I mean, you look at the number of offensive linemen that they've taken in their first two classes, and I think they saw a need there, and also like, look, it's gonna be a couple of years before Grant Bricks is ready to go, or Gibson Pyle, or those guys that are going to be kind of that next wave of offensive linemen. And they did kind of the same thing with the defensive line too, where they moved some guys over, they got some guys that could be offensive linemen or defensive linemen. I mean, it felt like they kind of started to build those positions first. And yeah, I mean, I think you're starting to kind of see what their vision is. The thing that I'm going to be curious about is the way that they kind of go forward with skill position players, because, I think the ideal offense that they're going to run and they want to run was not what we saw last year. And I kind of wonder, how closer they are now to being able to kind of have that ideal balance of wide receivers and running backs and things like that. So, I mean, that kind of bears following, but I mean, I think you can kind of see the even kind of the calendar that they work off of. I mean, like the camp season is going to be big again in June. I mean, I think they're going to try to find a guy or two from that post-grad camp that can come in and help them right away that nobody else is really aware of, kind of like the James Williams things last year. So, I've been impressed, I guess, that it seems like they've been able to kind of, pull from a lot of different places and how they've been able to accumulate their talent and kind of make that gumbo work, I guess.
Bruntz, do we give Donovan Raiola enough credit for the job he does as a recruiter? I know he started getting flowers as a coach over the last year or so because of the development of that line, but you mentioned some of the guys that he brought in last year, Grant Bricks being the headliner, and then you see some of the guys that they're in on this year. Do we need to start maybe talking a little bit more about Raiola and the ability for him to connect with these high-end offensive line prospects?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's done a really nice job. I mean, I think you have to give credit to Coach Rule's done a really nice job with some of those guys too. I mean, he was really key in the Grant Bricks recruitment, in getting him to, come to Nebraska. But if you look at the places where Nebraska seems to be getting a little bit more of a foothold with linemen, he's done a really nice job of getting Nebraska into Las Vegas again. Utah at times has been kind of a tough place for Nebraska to recruit. And I think he's got Nebraska in a lot more recruiting conversations in that state from just the time he spent there. I mean, he spent a ton of time in Utah building relationships and getting around and kind of leveraging, former Huskers that are coaching out there. And, from talking to recruits and the way that he just kind of builds that relationship, I mean, he's just constantly texting guys, really kind of going to bat for guys in some ways with, whether or not he's an offerable guy or that kind of thing. I mean, Jason McChaychok's an example of that, where, Donovan Raiola really kind of went to bat for, him being a guy that Nebraska needed to get as an under the radar kid. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's kind of been a full-time assistant for going on 3 years now at Nebraska. I think he's definitely gotten more comfortable with the recruiting piece of it. And I mean, even with the media, he just feels a lot more at ease than when he first got there. And I think he's kind of figuring out how he is as an assistant and what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, I think and the interesting thing is, because he doesn't always say a lot to us, I was a little taken aback, and I think that is the right word or term. He's got a ton of stroke, right? You know, he doesn't talk a ton, but when he does, or he has suggestions, or he wants to do something, man, folks move, and they move in a hurry.
Well, I mean, you've seen him at practice, Damon. I mean, there's not ever any question about what he's trying to get across. I think it's probably the fair way
good point.
to say it. I mean, it's funny. We're like, well, we can't use that video. Can't use that video. Can't use that. Do we have some ambient music that we can throw over the back of that practice clip so you can't hear what's going on? But no, I mean, I think when you talk to the players in his group, it's very clear that they respect the culture that he's built, and it's been kind of impressive to watch how that's kind of come together across two coaching staffs. I mean, you know, he's had to fit in with a group that he didn't really know at all coming in, and you know, that they've got a good amount of depth in that offensive line group that they didn't have 2 years ago.
Bruntz, what level of confidence do you have in Nebraska's ability to close on, whether it's the offensive lineman or like a Michael Terry, but to close on some of these super high level guys that they're taking swings on right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've got momentum with, you know, guys that are towards the top of their board. You mentioned Dawson Merritt. I mean, I think Nebraska has come.
Yeah, they're right there.
Speeding back into that recruitment. And I think it helps too. His dad, you know, is a football guy. He gets it. They're big on relationships, and that's something that Matt Rule's staff does really well. You know, I think Nebraska. You look at Merritt. You know, Scholl, who was in here as an official visitor. I think Nebraska's closed a lot of the gap with Auburn there too for him. And you know, it partially kind of depends on how long these guys are going to play out decisions. I mean, if you go into the fall with some of these guys, I think Nebraska has a chance to kind of back up the relationship piece of it with saying, okay, we're not just, you know, getting it done in June. We're going to, you know, get it done in the season when it matters too. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's been a few recruitments already too with this staff that I would, you know, going into it would not have said that Nebraska had a great chance, but they've been able to close the deal. Ja'Cory Barney is another example of that, where it's like a kid's got every reason to go to Miami, and you know, Garrett McGuire and the staff did a great job of recruiting him and got that commitment. So I don't put anything past the staff. You know, they're really aggressive recruiters, and they're busy, and a lot of that comes from Matt Rule. Your head coach has to set the pace for all that.
Yeah.
Michael Bruntz, Husker 24/7. Bruntsy, we appreciate it as always.
Thanks, Bruntz.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We are back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on KFOR in Lincoln. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla on the Pillar Exterior stage. Good stuff there from our guy, Michael Bruntz. You're making a funny face. What's happening?
I did not know who was in the broadcast booth at Valhalla.
Who is in the broadcast booth?
I didn't recognize her.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe
light skin with the two Afro puffs.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell, does it?
It does not ring a bell.
So it just got my attention.
But
if you're looking for an update on the leaderboard, would you like it?
Yeah, I would love one.
Because Mr. Shoffley has now taken the lead,
and we're going to talk to our guy John Rathouz here in just one more segment.
Yeah, it's 4 under through 8. Spieth, we left him for dead. He said, first day out, not so fast, my friend. 3 under through 5. Kim is 3 under through 10. Rory
in the hunt,
2 under through 6
in the hunt.
Eldrick, in case you're wondering, El Tigre, for all you non-Siberians out there, plus 1 over.
Back to 1 over after getting even for a second.
1 over.
Right.
Been a little grimy, a little grindy for him out there today. The weather, they get a nice cool day in Louisville.
Yeah, it's not too warm for good old Kentucky in mid-May.
Yeah, not bad. So maybe we need a little warmth, depending depending on who you're cheering for.
You think Tiger does better when it's warm or when it's cool?
I don't know. He's so old and beaten down. I don't know.
It's
good to see Tony Finau off to a good start too. 2 under through 4.
I almost wonder with the back if you don't want it warmer out.
Yeah.
You know,
Tyrell Hatton 2 under through 4. Tyrell Hatton.
Did you ever
It's really Ricky Hatton, but
yeah,
I just remember them chanting that before he got
big Ricky Hatton guy.
No. I thought. Don't even get me started. I never understood it. I never understood.
Which part?
Like the
infatuation with him.
Yep.
People really loved, like a certain segment of the population really loved Ricky Hatton.
I mean, he was a huge draw. Like I just remember that chant, right? Oh, Ricky Hatton. Before he got the check hook from Mayweather in the corner and got slipped.
Yeah, then he fell off the face of the earth in a
because
hurry.
I mean he fought, and then who got him right after that? Was it Pacquiao? No. Who got Hatton right after Mayweather did? And people kept comparing the two.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Yeah.
I talked to him last night. There was a little bit of baseball controversy, but I can't talk about it because I can't really corroborate it.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? And it's just
so like you think you saw something, but you're not sure.
No, there's just lots and lots of stories about how a particular team that's playing in state has been capturing data. And they're being accused of being Astros-like. But
I see.
You know, and I know I hear what you guys are saying. I need a little more.
Need a little more?
Yeah.
A little bit more?
It's very intricate.
Ricky Hatton, it was Pacquiao.
Was it? Yeah.
It wasn't right after. There were 2 fights in between, but it was Mayweather was his first career loss, then Pacquiao, and then he lost one to appears to be Eastern European fellow whose name I'm not going to try and pronounce.
Yeah.
There's
I thought
a lot of consonants in that name that I
thought it might have been Manny that got him.
Do you want me to give it a try?
Yeah.
Vyacheslav Senchenko.
Oh, Senchenko.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a bad loss.
No, but that was his last one.
Yeah.
He was donezo after that.
Yeah.
He was off for like 3.5 years between Pacquiao and Senchenko. Because it was 2009 to 2012.
And he was almost going to be done.
That's a bad gap. You don't want that there. That's too much time.
It's a heck of a shot by Rory out of the sand. That's 2 under on number 5.
Speaking of boxing, our guys coming up in August, right?
Yeah. I don't love the locale, but
where the
California.
Oh, that's right. They're in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
He's getting some of that Saudi money, right? That's who's financing it.
Yep.
Get that bag.
He's got an agency now that he's working with too, from a business standpoint. I think that's really going to help.
Going to help out.
It's a lot more visible.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
Let's get our guy paid.
You only got a couple more.
Listen, you gotta maximize earning potential.
And it's gonna be at 54.
Okay.
It's got 1 or 2 biggies left.
Yeah, let's do it. There's some big fish at 54.
Yeah, I just don't think at this stage in his career does he want to make anybody else's payday.
Yeah.
But you do want to cement your legacy too, so it's a fine line. You don't want to throw anybody a bone too soon and have it be low risk or high risk for you.
Mm-hmm.
But
so 154 is junior middles, is that right?
Yeah. I mean, Charlo may be out there. I don't think
that's the one that people talked about after.
I don't think he wants to
Errol
just give Boots Ennis the opportunity.
What does he get out of that?
Yeah, absolutely nothing. And Boots has been a little, I wouldn't say disrespectful, but they don't have the best relationship either.
Like Charlo's probably a big enough name that at least makes sense for him financially.
Yeah, and he talks enough too.
And so
the fight will sell in a hurry.
Yeah, you would get good pay-per-view numbers out of that. I don't know that Ennis is that guy.
No. Well, he is spectacular though.
No, really. No, I just mean from a draw standpoint.
What I want to see though is I'd like to see Lomachenko and Tank. But Lomachenko's going to take some time off after beating Kambosos.
Man, there was not
Plus,
that.
I mean, he's got the war going on. Like
he's got a lot going on. But there was not that.
And Loma's old now.
I would say there was not that long ago that Lomachenko was thought of in a very different light than he is now.
Yeah.
In terms of his prowess.
I mean, he had won 3 titles, 3 weight classes in like 14 fights.
Mm-hmm.
Something ridiculous like that.
It really was.
And I'm not a Loma guy, but
No, but he was. He was really.
I would love to see Tank lose.
Is
to
there
somebody at some point.
anybody else at 154 besides Charlo that you're interested in for our guy?
I mean, maybe not 54, but I think he would entertain Canelo at a catch weight.
So like what, 157, 158?
60 maybe. Not because that would be a catch weight for Canelo, but maybe 60.
Okay. Isn't 60 just true middle?
It is, but
because Canelo's
Canelo's got to come down.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like a catch weight in terms of classes.
Yeah.
It's a catch weight for the
Yeah.
Sorry, I misunderstood what you were saying.
So it's like, which would be that would be the biggest payday. That would be the biggest fight you could make
for sure.
But you are talking about 2 weight classes.
It's a big jump, and Canelo's pretty good.
Yeah, he is, especially as a much bigger.
Yeah, he's a bigger,
stronger
dude.
fighter.
Yeah, although you wonder cutting that much weight.
Yeah,
what Canelo?
You'd have to get into like the hydration clauses and stuff, but it would be.
You wouldn't want Canelo to be able to bulk back up too much.
It would be an incredible payday.
Oh God, yeah.
So,
but Canelo's fighting right now at 168.
Yeah,
which means he's probably walking around in the 180s.
And Terrence could walk around easily in the high 50s, 60.
Yeah, but that's a big difference there. Still, Canelo's a big dude.
Yeah,
yes,
he
he's a big guy.
That's why it was interesting. Is this for par coming back?
I think, yeah, it is.
Tiger's got about a 4-footer to save par.
That's longer than 4 foot, isn't it?
I don't know. Could you land between there?
Shane could.
It's about 5 feet.
Got it. Yeah, no,
Oh, come on, Shane.
I mean, listen, just from a fan and from a Crawford getting his flowers standpoint, like a Crawford Canelo fight would be.
That's my dude.
That
is my dude.
A Crawford Canelo fight would be spectacular.
Yeah, 100%.
I think.
See how easy I got distracted?
Yeah,
he's a great baseball player.
Who is that?
I won't put him out there because he's working, but his last name is Hendricks. Played at Millard South.
Major League Baseball.
What era?
90s. He's my age.
Oh, okay.
Hey, nuts.
Yeah.
I thought, whoa.
What position do you play?
Gosh, he was all over. Outfield.
Yeah.
Could play a little middle infield. Yeah.
That's fine.
Good dude. Like
good ball player.
What do you need?
Can you rake a little bit?
Gritty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tough. Like would fight tomorrow. Yeah, tough. I'm telling you, man. Tough dude.
You like some of those. You need to.
I do, man. I like.
You like some grinders.
I like. Yep, I do. I like the unconventional scrappers.
You like the grinders.
I leave the pretty boys for Shane.
You big David Eckstein guy?
No. The guy broke my heart. I can't even believe you brought him up.
So who you leaving for me?
Flipping idiot.
Why did he break your heart?
Dude, when he's a Cardinal, oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. I always think of him as an angel.
No.
I always think of him as an angel.
See? That's why we can't have nice things, man.
Why?
David Eckstein, huh?
I always think of him as an angel.
Like game winner, late innings, David
No,
Eckstein?
you're right. I always think 0-2 Angels. That's where I think David Eckstein.
No, I got a different word for him.
Gritty? Grimy? Tough?
Yeah, all of those.
Coming up next, we got John Rathouz. He's going to talk a little PGA Championship with us here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
I feel like if I can just prepare and get my game where I feel like it can be, to where I'm just slowly improving a little bit each day, to where, I feel like I'm playing my best over the weekend. I should and need to have full faith and trust in my abilities, to where that should be good enough to get me in contention. And
I can win golf tournaments. I still feel I can hit the shots, and still feel like I have my hands around the greens and I can putt. I just need to do it for all 4 days, not like I did at Augusta for only 2.
We're here back, wrapping up the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. I'm sure we're going to talk in just a second here about some course conditions at the PGA Championship. But if the course at your house, and by course I mean yard, needs a little help with its conditions, you got to call our friends over at Durkin Designs. Whether you need some more extensive work, patios, retaining walls, fire or water features, trying to take that thing to the next level, or if you just need some run-of-the-mill cleanup, maintenance, that type of thing, Durkin Designs has you covered, and they do free estimates. So go ahead and give them a call at 402-779-4444. That's 402-779-4444 for a free estimate and to get some info. That's Durkin Designs. Joining us now to talk about PGA Championship is former PGA caddy, current host of the Quiet Please podcast right here on the Hurrdat Sports Network, John Rathouz. John, how are you, buddy?
Morning, gentlemen. I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, we're hanging in there. I'm just having to deal with Ravi, so it's basically one segment at a time, John, if you know what I mean.
You only got 15 more minutes left with him today.
It's like just I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there.
I mean, hey, John likes me. You don't have to do this. I mean, come on. All right, John. So let's get right into this. The PGA Championship. We got some guys getting going already. Schauffele at -4, off to a good start. Is that a guy you look at and say, hey, he's capable of sustaining this over 4 days and winning this thing?
Oh, man. Xander's been playing so good for so long now. And even this year, I mean, had a chance at a lot of other big tournaments, including last week. So, yeah, I think he can sustain it over 4 days. He's in great form. When you look at, like, the data on him, like, some places have him ranked as high as the second, number 2 or 3 ranked player in the world. So and we've seen him play well in majors before. Obviously, the thing with Xander is like, can he close the door? And, until he does that, there's going to be a lot of doubt about that. But I certainly think he's in good enough form physically and mentally right now to get it done this week. Yeah, it's nice to see him off to a good start.
So how about so the thing I always wonder about with him is like closing time, right? Is that the blade? Is that emotions? Like, what do you think that's been so elusive for him when it comes to closing time?
That's an interesting thing. I happened to be on the Korn Ferry Tour the year that he graduated. I was caddying for Seamus Power, and he came out of a really good class in 2016 and kind of got his card. He was like the last man to get it. And, he was, very unheralded always, but just quiet, do his thing. And, I think sometimes he got thrust into it pretty quick because he was playing well right away. And, I think these guys, certainly have to believe in themselves when it's all said and done. And I'm not saying he doesn't believe in himself, but when you start stacking it up with other big dogs up there, you can get mental on you pretty quick. So I don't know if he's done the best in handling that throughout his career. But he's got an Olympic gold to show for it. Some other nice tournament wins. So, I got to think it's around the corner for him inevitably.
John, you kind of got me thinking about guys that, maybe we like how they play or they've got a lot of talent that maybe haven't broken through yet. You obviously spent a lot of time on the Korn Ferry Tour. You saw a lot of these guys coming up. You spent some time on the PGA Tour as well as a caddy. Is there a guy that, and he doesn't have to be in the field, this is kind of more of a general question, but is there a guy that you saw when you were out there that you were just always surprised never had kind of the wins or more success based on how you felt about him as a golfer?
That's a good question. Boy, yeah, it just goes back to the whole, it's so hard to win, and there's guys that you might be like, he's not that good, or that didn't impress me very much, and then they figure out a way, to rack up the wins. One of the guys that I saw there, when I got to caddy about a month ago with Scott Kacheski out in San Antonio for the tournament before the Masters week, and we got paired up there with the Gim Reaper, who's making a
David, Gim, right there.
So, Doug's an example of a guy like that, played really good as an amateur, good college player, and you're like, man, why hasn't he kind of broken through yet? When we were out there with him, he was really going along nicely. He made a nice caddy change over the off season, and those two are rolling out there right now. So he's at like 3 or 4 under to start the day. So, that's, I probably need a little bit more time to think on that question. It's a good one, but it's just sometimes there's no rhyme or reason for the guys that break through and the guys that don't.
Yeah, fresh off, and listen, they're going to look pretty smart if today picks up. But I was in the dark horse category because Ravi and I always like to look at long shots, and these guys are both 66 plus 6,600, and they're off to good starts. And we kind of both guys, we wonder where their game is headed. Jordan Spieth and Dustin Johnson, both off to relatively quick starts today, but we're in the dark horse category for the championship this weekend. Does that sound about right to you? We questioned Spieth after the Masters. Fair or foul?
Yeah, I guess it's probably foul. I was in the same boat there for a minute too. Him and Greller have been together for a long time, but they've got so many trophies, and it's just been a minute for him. He had a great press conference the other day where he was just kind of talking about how watching his buddy Scheffler kind of take it to another level was kind of inspiring for him. It kind of was pissing him off too, but it was inspiring for him. And here he is going for the career Grand Slam this week. He's coming in with some decent form. He hasn't been able to put like 3 or 4 rounds together yet. So it's nice to see Jordan off to a good start. But yeah, like with, as good as Scheffler's been playing and Rory, like you see, these guys coming in like more as dark horses than they ever have been. And there's this new young blood out there as well. When you talk about a guy like Aberg, who's not playing great to start, but like another guy that was coming in on the dark horse list that's playing well to start is Tony Finau, a guy that, a year ago, everybody was like, and he had a good year last year. But Scotty's playing so good that it's like, oh, well, he can't possibly beat him. But, Tony's showing well. He likes playing on the bent grass. He likes the longer golf course. He's rolling some putts in early on, so he's maybe a guy that can kind of stick around for the whole week too.
We're talking with John Rathouz, former PGA caddy, as well as the host of the Quiet Please podcast. John, let's get to the course a little bit here. You're at Valhalla in Kentucky there. Is there a type of guy that you like at this particular course as opposed just in terms of how they play their game?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's the third longest course these guys have seen all year. So I think length, is always a big factor. And so that'll come into play this week. I think the first 2 days of the week with pace of play and stuff and the club pros that are in it and stuff, not to badmouth any of those guys. We've got some, Ryan Vermeer's done us well in the past out of Omaha. So I think they just like to get the guys around the course. See, they might not tip it out as much to start, but it's a long golf course. The greens actually are quite small. So, that's like, hey, I need a guy that's hitting his irons well. It's soft enough right now where everybody can kind of attack. And then it kind of turns into a little bit of a putting contest too. I mean, you see the guys up at the top of the board right now are all really pretty solid putters. And you talk about Schauffele and Spieth. So, I think it's the one major where, guys can kind of break through. So you never know what it's going to all amount to, but it's no wind out there today to start too. It's wet and soft, so it's just going to play longer, but easier for these guys without the wind and the softer conditions.
Hey, does 6 PGA Tour wins, 23 top fives, does that sound right for Cam Smith? I always feel like he comes up in these discussions as guys to take, guys to pick, and in tournaments. Does that sound about right for when you think of Cam Smith, his talents versus and his production?
Yeah, I think it sounds about right. He's not going to rack up any more PGA Tour wins anytime.
I know, right?
Although if he found a way to win this week, it would count. But I think that's a guy.
The irony, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he's an incredible putter, an incredible short game. He's probably a guy that has gotten the most out of his game that he possibly could. Not a big, tall guy, doesn't hit it a mile, pretty wild when it comes down to it compared to others. So I feel like he's a guy that, went on a nice run there for a few years. He's quieted down a little bit now. So, that sounds about right for him. And I think he's gotten a lot out of his game for sure.
John, give me a deep cut here. A guy that's maybe no one's talking about or that's kind of a long shot in this particular tournament that maybe you're not picking him to win, but you're like, hey, that's a guy I could see being in contention on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, the couple of guys that, like we were talking about long shots that are getting, pushed down the board even further than they have been in, even recent years. Sung J M is coming in playing very well. He actually had a win in Korea like 3 weeks ago. He went over there and played. Sepp Straka, was on the Ryder Cup team last year. He's coming in playing really well. So those are a couple guys that I feel like are probably actually could close the door this week. And, when you look at, a few guys that even maybe more dark horses, Nick Taylor, had that great win in Phoenix earlier this year. That dude's a baller. And maybe some of the younger guys like Jake Knapp, that hits it a mile and had a win in Mexico earlier this year. So
what about John? Real quick? I'm sorry. What about Neiman? I know he's not a long shot. I think he's like 33 plus 3,300. You like Joaquin's game here?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the softer conditions, I think that's good for him. He sometimes, hits the ball a little bit lower. I think he's added a little bit of height in that in recent years this last year, I think, from what I could tell. And he obviously was on a heater to start the year, so he's maybe quieted down, at least on the radar of most people coming in. So absolutely, he is a guy that could get it done. Absolutely.
That's John Rathouz, former caddy and host of the Quiet Please podcast right here on Hurrdat Sports Network. John, we appreciate it as always. We'll catch up with you again soon.
Thanks, John.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.
More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up tomorrow.
That's it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Kobe.